Hey folks, Phil Davis, Ancestrylands, ancestrylands.com. Happy Thursday, folks. Uncle Phil. Live. Hope you've had a great lunch, folks, on the East Coast. A late breakfast or brunch to the people on the West Coast. The West Coast, shout out to you all. Supposedly there's a blizzard warning in LA. What's going on, folks? We are now in what times? I don't know. End times. It's time to send an asteroid. It's an asteroid. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Folks, we have a laundry list of topics to talk about today. The first topic that I opened up in the beginning, and we'll get to that a little bit later. I wanted to ask the question, and I'm going to pull this up right now, folks. And thank you for everyone that's joining us today. I hope your Thursday midday. I always like doing it a little bit after lunch. Why, folks? Because after lunch, you're a little full. You've gotten through the first part of your day. All the annoying meetings and emails are being out. And if you're on the West Coast, you're now dealing with the threshold of it. Take a break, take an early lunch on the West Coast, and start listening to your Uncle Phil live. Thank you, folks, for popping in today. We've got some light situations to talk about. We've got some funny situations to talk about. Let's get to the first part of the topic. I'm going to share this with you folks because, again, on the world stage, we just got done talking about it. And I just can't believe it, folks. Our president of the United States, Joe Biden, again, he has fallen up the stairs, walking upstairs again. Now, folks, I don't know what our security forces are doing or whoever's responsible to protect the president, but we have the number one threat to the presidency right now, and it is stairs, folks. Remember, Joe Biden is most notably saying, exactly. And apparently, right now, the stairs has a problem with the president. Can we get someone in the administration to protect our president from stairs that are on the incline, right? Because I don't think decline is a problem, but I do feel that incline is a problem. Let's take a listen to what's happening here. Okay, the president is going up the stairs at this point. He is now walking up. He's thinking about where he's going, if he has to get on a plane or if he's getting off. And all of a sudden, there's a banana peel right there on the stairwell, folks. This is not the first time, but the second time, and he's going to salute everybody else. Well, look, somebody left a banana down there, huh, folks? And again, we have to ask the question, are stairs safe for the president anymore, folks? Are they? I see the real threat to the administration at large is stairs, and no one's doing anything about it. Can we put bananas on the FBI list up there? Can we put bananas as the number one enemy of the state, folks? I'm asking the question here. No, just to make light of some things. And Biden apparently he falls while going up the stairs, stumbles and falls while boarding Air Force One. Why, oh God, oh why does the president, how many people work in hospitals or restaurants? Restaurant workers are supposed to have non-slip shoes. Can someone in the administration get the president non-slip dress shoes? Do they exist? Are there any business people out there who look like they can create a business for presidents who slip falling up the stairs? I know generally because I've done elderly care in the hospital, going down the stairs usually is the one that, most people tend to fall going down the stairs or up. Or could we get in an escalator style that just puts them right over into Air Force One safely? I want the president to be safe. Remember, folks, you're watching this show. We do not promote hate or harm. This show is meant to enlighten, entertain, and educate you. Despite where you are in your day right now. So that's the first story there. I'm going to get to the light stuff first so we can talk about the heavy stuff in a little bit. And again, for all you anime fans out there, we've got another one coming to you here. Here we go. Has Dragon Ball Z come to planet Earth? The question needs to be asked. If anyone does not know, Dragon Ball Z is a Japanese anime. And here we go. It's in Japan, no less. All right. So there's two trains of thoughts here, and I'm dead serious. This is on Yahoo News. I like to cite my sources because it's not me. I'm just going to give a educated opinion. The opinions are just my thoughts that I'm sharing with you at the time. You might be in a car with me, and I bring this up randomly. Anyone who knows me knows that I do talk about strange things such as this. But people are not sure if it's Godzilla's egg. Yes, they wrote this in an actual article. This was written by, who wrote this article? Nikki Main. This comes by way of Yahoo News. This is Wednesday, February 22nd. That was just yesterday. A metal sphere, which people are calling Godzilla's egg, washed up on shore in Inshu Beach in Hamamatsu. Ooh, boy, look at my reading on that Japanese stuff. And Japan. Authorities responded to the scene. This is a live picture of the egg here, Godzilla's egg, or in some cases, people are asking of the Dragon Balls. Responded to the scene where a woman reported that she had stumbled upon where the sphere, stumbled upon the sphere while out in a morning walk. She's out there walking her dog, looking on the beach, enjoying the sunrise on the Hamamatsu beach there, and I'm sorry, Inshu Beach in Hamamatsu. A man told NHK News. If you know NHK News, I've watched NHK News mainly because they have the sumo wrestling channel. They have sumo wrestling contests that are up there. It's very enjoyable. My kids have watched it. I would definitely say if you ever are on NHK, watching sumo wrestling is a very enjoyable thing. There's a whole lot of ceremony, and it's very intense, as far as like how things are going. And I've learned that sumo wrestlers are not fat; they are actually built with a lot of muscle. That is a little bit of education for everybody. Okay. A man told NHK that he didn't understand why it's getting so much attention. He said he spotted the metal sphere. It's 1.5 meters or 4.9 feet in diameter more than a month ago. So he saw it and just casually walked by. It's been there for a month, he said. I tried to push it, it wouldn't budge, right? So that's the first thing you think to do. Gigantic human-sized ball sitting there up on the beach. Could be anything, but you go and go push it. Just try to move it, right? Report maybe he thought that he would gain some kind of powers if it was from a celestial body. Reports led social media, which we know is the super authority on high intelligence, to explode with conspiracy theories. Amongst the most popular said it is Godzilla's egg. Others said they believe it to be the ball of the popular manga series Dragon Ball Z. And some speculated it could be a dragon's egg. People, send the asteroid, man. Send the asteroid. Good God Almighty, we are the most technological age, and we have people out here telling you it's Dragon Ball Z. If it is Dragon Ball Z, I happen to watch Dragon Ball Z. People don't know Dragon Ball Z has to deal with Goku and Saiyan race and all this stuff, and a lot of it is planet destroying stuff like that. So, or Godzilla's egg, none of which actually builds well for humanity at large. Both end up with a lot of destruction for the Earth itself or humanity at large. And of course, some people have questioned whether it could have been the Chinese spy balloon that was shot down over the U.S. in perfect ground condition, no less. And I don't know how a balloon like that would wash up ashore, but hey, you know what? Who's going with it? Other theorists argued the sphere could be a UFO. Uh, After Japanese officials acknowledged that balloons have flown in their airspace the last couple of years. I mean, folks, I will say one thing about this, that there has definitely been a large uptick in UFO sightings or reports, to the point where they're kind of hard to ignore. I know people would think that there is life out there, but comment in the chat and tell me, how do you think that bodes for us? That's a good question. Japanese authorities remain flummoxed. That's a good word right there. Flummoxed. After viewing, see what education does for you folks. You actually can read very well. Flummoxed after viewing the metal sphere and worried that it could be something more sinister. Thinking it might be a stray mine, explosive professionals were wearing protective gear were brought to the site. However, x-rays revealed it is hollow, so we are going, and it did not believe it to be a threat to the public. The area remains cordoned off, which means blocked off, if people don't know what that means. And authorities say they're unsure what the large object is. The follow theory is that it's a mooring buoy based in the sphere's crusted color hue, and the two handles on its surface. Maybe the god Poseidon from Greek mythology was out there doing strongman competitions out in the ocean. Why don't I just add that to social media, since everybody's throwing out extreme guesses here? Any which way, folks, that's something. If you're in the Japan area, I do know some people in my mentoring groups that do live in Japan. Go out to the Enshu Beach and Hamamatsu, Japan, and go visit the large ball, which people, and take your guess, take your guess as to what it could be. In other news, folks, I did want to talk about some news up in Chicago area. Apparently, there has been I guess, an off-duty cop. She had, again, we're going with, I guess we're going to call this the what is this called, the F around and find out moment, that where she ended up. Have you guys seen this though? This definitely happened a few days ago. An off-duty police officer buck shots and clapped a man right on camera, right outside. This man apparently tried to rob her. And salute to the females out there, man. Let's get the females some love out there, man. Right? Let me get the females some love out there, showing that women are not to be taken lightly. Guy didn't know that she was an off-duty police officer. She had her off-duty firearm. This officer. This happened on what is this, January 8th, and the family's trying to sue this woman. So, video and other material released. This was in Chicago, I believe. The off-duty cop, she yells before fatally shooting this man who appeared to grab her a gun. This is actually on camera, folks. And I mean, this is, woman, civilian office of police accountability released video footage of off-duty officer fatally deleting a man after he tried to steal her gun last month in Washington Heights in Chicago. The off-duty officer was shouted, "I will blank you," before fatally shooting him. We could just share this so you guys can see it too. Why not just show you guys what's happening here? This is her right here, this off-duty police officer. I don't think they've named her because I believe she's a private citizen under this, but off-duty. So off-duty firearm there. She says, this is what we call, again, evidence of more F around and find out, right? You've seen what's going on with crime rates all over the world, all over the country. And apparently, in broad daylight, people are becoming more emboldened. This is, again, a reason for why, again, is taking away Second Amendment rights. Is this going to hurt women too as well? Because, I mean, this man thought that she was easy pickings, thought that he could take away her licensed firearm. And, he got the F around and find out. It's, FUCK, around and find out. He kept messing around. She said an off-duty cop shouted, "I will blank delete you," before fatally shooting a man who grabbed for her gun during a struggle last month in Washington Heights, the South Side. Video released Thursday shows. Didn't I just say I would blank, KILU, delete you? The officer asked for the third and after the third and final shot is fired. Didn't I just say, I'm gonna pop a cap and you'll. And I don't like to curse, folks. I know my children watch this show. My show probably would have a lot more views if I would just let it rip, say all the words that attract and get people listening, but I try to keep it clean. The private surveillance footage released by the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, say that all in one word, right? Initially shows I'm going to say this is Levon Smith arguing with a group of people on a 1300 block of West 90th Street just before 1 p.m. January 18th. The off-duty officer eventually leaves an apartment building, tries to diffuse the conflict. Now, this right here, and urges those involved to get calmed down. So I understand, off-duty police officer, you still are a servant or civil servant of the people. The other people take off, but Smith sticks around and talks to the officer for just over a minute. As she turns to head back into the apartment building, the video appears to show Smith reach for the officer's firearm, setting off a struggle. Now, again, part of this it does show that there was an argument happening on. The off-duty officer is walking out of her building, and she gets involved in something that does not necessarily concern her. I get it, because she still is a police officer in her job, but she's off duty. And we had a conversation yesterday about minding your own business in a lot of situations. There are people having an argument. You're coming in trying to be peacekeeper, and things can always go left. For people who do not understand that slang term, we say things, you go the right way, right. Going left means things can go bad. And this off-duty officer decided to diffuse the situation, which is kind of cool because it's good to see an officer actually not taking an aggressive approach to what seems to be a bunch of black men arguing. And so I'm kind of got a mixed feeling in there, because it could turn out that way. It could turn out, it could go left for that group, and she could be involved. Bullets don't have a name on them, so someone could have been armed, whatever else. The officer says, "I will delete you," which is this is what I'm saying. I'm not going to say that word on YouTube. The KIL word. She yells before firing 2 shots. And again, for people who are just chiming in now, this is the struggle. This man you can see his arm clearly reaching for her firearm. And this is the increase of effing around. And she finally lets a shot off. Bang. And she says, "I will, delete you," before she fires 2 shots. Boom, boom. He says, "You got me. You got me," Smith says. "I told you, dumb blanking." Bleep. Do I have a censor button over here? I thought I had the censor button. I'll get one. A censor button. "I told you, dumb, I'd kill you." As the officer says, oh gosh, I just said it. Jeez, I delete you. The officer says that she fires the 3rd shot. "Baby, I'm sorry." I'm imitating Smith's voice. Responds, "I'm sorry. I don't want to die." And then she yells for someone to call the police while continuing to scream at Smith. At no point is the officer seen offering aid to the wounded man. Now, again, I've got a question. Someone is trying to reach for her firearm. She's, I get it now, but she's a private citizen. The man is just trying to assault her. Allegedly he's assaulting her from the camera. It says that way, and she's trying to steal the fire. I mean, if he's, I don't know. I think the kind of jury's out on that one. The woman just saw a bunch of men arguing, tried to say, "Calm down, everyone." Maybe she was taking an overly aggressive tone. And, the guy, he stayed around, talked to her for a minute, saw the blammer, saw the Roscoe right there on the hip or wherever she was concealing it. Obviously not that much. And this is all alleged, by the way. And he went to reach for the gun, according to the video footage here. And when he went to reach for the firearm, then a struggle ensued. And she gave him the find out because the effing around was going on too much. And she gave him two shots to tell him that he had met the threshold to find out. And he obviously later succumbed to his injuries. Where that's saying here. They says officer seen walking into the building, coming back out while on the phone. So apparently she called for help. While an emergency crew pulls up, one of them asks her, "Where'd you hit him?" She says, "I don't know." And here is the video footage. I am not going to play that very loud. Let me give this some background music so that way people can actually see this. What should we do? We'll do this a little light. Here we go. I'm going to play this lightly. Graphic content here for folks that may not. I'm not even going to play the music here. They're over here talking. Here he's sitting down. She has herself there. Now, this is a vulnerable woman, in my opinion, even if she's an off-duty officer. He sees it, goes in for the grab, right? Right behind her. Now he's reaching. I don't know. I mean, this is actually happening right there. Anybody tell me now? She has the firearm there. She's struggling, suing. I mean, again, and after they go off camera, you can see this happening. And then shortly after that, some clapping goes on. And, that's that. I mean, buck, to the bang, bang, as they say.
I'm sorry, baby.
Look, she's talking to him now. Told you, right? He's still alive at this point, but she's still holding and grabbing him. She already did the grabbing, right? And there's some cursing going on, and that's what happened. Now he didn't want any more of that, so he got to the find out part, and no longer the effing around happened. And sadly, this man apparently he fell to the ground while struggling with them. She then opened fire, striking him in his abdomen and left hand. He was taken into custody and brought to the medical center in Oak Lawn, where he was succumbed to his wounds or his injuries January 20th. The tactical response reported that that Smith, the man of the assailant, apparently alleged assailant, he posed an imminent threat of battery without a weapon and physically attacked her, which we saw on camera. She claims that she was ambushed with no warning, and she had fired a total of 3 shots. So I mean, again, you can kind of see for yourself what that may or may not have happened. If you agree with that, again, I know a lot of times this seems to be a woman of color and a man of color. She had a laceration above her right eye. She was treated at the hospital too, as well. And be aware that this is woman's. Is she allowed to protect herself? I don't know. I mean, in this case, I mean, if the man had taken a firearm and had deleted her, then what would have been the response then? Does she not have a right to protect herself? And this raises a question for the why are women not more overly supporting the Second Amendment right then? Because in this situation, we saw that this man thought that this woman was in easy pickings and alleged easy pickings. He decided for whatever reason that he was going to get into a physical struggle with her, and that resulted in the loss of one person's life. And in that case, this is an example of why women do need to protect themselves. And that means that you're going to have to be pro 2A. In this situation, even if a firearm was not involved, there is a degree of struggle that she had that, again, the firearm equalized. Who would have known? I mean, it could have picked up a rock and hit her in the back of the head. There's a whole bunch of ways this could have gone left, but this is in broad daylight, no less. And it did not seem when she was walking off that she was in any kind of threat to him, allegedly at that time. Who knows? This is only speculation because we don't know particularly what was said before that time. So I'm not going to say that there was no threats made to him. We don't know. We don't have his side of the story at the same time. But again, this posed the question that the more that we whittle away two-way rights to people, is this going to impact women for these kind of situations? To where the protection that they have, and are we helping? With the rise of feminism and femininity, if you will, and whatever feminism declassifies it as, are we making sure that women want equal rights, but they have equal responsibility for protecting themselves? I want to ask women that question because I do believe that as women feel that they should have equality towards men, there is a responsibility of protecting yourself, because if a man is in this situation, he still has to struggle with this man. A lot of times women perceive or may misbelieve that two men engaging in a scuffle is somehow one man can just dominate the other, and that's farthest from the truth. Two men, no matter how size there are, there's a certain level of scuffling that's going on that doesn't automatically equal a winner. But women should be pro 2A for being able to protect themselves as they are walking out in society. There are more women out there who want to be equal to men, and part of that should have equal responsibility in defending themselves. And in this case, this off-duty police officer, even though she's a police officer, but she's an off-duty female private citizen that is walking by, and she was, approached from behind, and there was a struggle for the firearm, and she protected herself, at least from what we see on the camera. I'm going to say that as well. Um, and again, that brings me to my. We're not going to get to the main part of the show yet. I'm going to ask the other one, because apparently, folks, we do talk about, and this story comes from NPR, actually, NPR.org. I saw this the other day and I thought it was something to talk about. Actually, it was last night. This was written on the 23rd. Well, today's the 23rd. How was this written at 4:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? It's not even half. Oh, this is last year. Okay, that's the confusion here, folks. It's the race shifting pretendians. Yes, that's right, folks. Race shifting pretendians. That's what we have today. And you might be wondering where this story cited from, but again, like, we have to go back a little bit further than that. Okay, we have to go back a little further than that. I'm going to tell you where this comes from, or where I think this claim might have come from. Let's get through this article a little bit more. The number of people who identify as Native American on the U.S. Census has soared in recent years, which raises a lot of concern in Native communities about people falsely claiming Native identity. You'd be surprised at who these people are, as far as what group is claiming this. Um, that's crazy, because the number of people identified as Native American on U.S. Census has soared in recent years by 86% from 2010 to 2020. And again, I would love to ask Native and member tribe members My wife, some of her other family members are, either in-laws or things like that, are actually Native Americans. They belong to a certain tribe. And from my time of being married with her, I do know that there are certain procedures or ways that you go about claiming to be Native American in order to be registered within that tribe. And there is a, we saw with Elizabeth Warren, that whole debacle, where she had, and I have the article up here. Excuse me, Elizabeth Warren, new evidence has emerged that Elizabeth Warren claimed Native American heritage in 1986. Warren identified as American Indian and a registration card for the State Bar of Texas. I believe there was some other reports of her claiming Native American ancestry, or she descended from Native American ancestry, saying that she was Cherokee. Now, again, as a black man, I have heard so much in black people communities talking about, good hair and people are Native Americans, Cherokee, and thank the Lord for Ancestry and other DNA testing facilities that could alleviate, people trying to claim Native American. But on the census record, apparently people are checking off that box. And this was before where, I don't know, maybe she started the trend. Maybe people thought that, hey, Elizabeth Warren was able to get away with this. She was able to get into Ivy League schools, and she was able to check off this and go all the way up to now, being in office and being in Congress. And now she claimed to be Native American. And now we have what is the increase 86% in 10 years. That is a much bigger jump that can be explained by birth rates alone. So they're not buying it. The chiefs are not buying it. And I mean Native American chiefs, the tribal leaders are not buying it. That Native Americans are not having babies in that rate. And again, if you are going to claim to be Native American, at least from what I know, Native Americans, please comment in the chat and let me know if this is true or concurrent with your tribal regulations. I want to be respectful. That the birth rates do not match the number of people on the census checking off Native American. Is this white flight? Is this white flight? People trying to leave the country and maybe they're trying to classify themselves, as something else. I don't know. It's clearly a lot of people out there, and this comes by way of NPR, folks. It's not just me making up stuff. People claiming to be Native American now. So again, and this question's for, different cultural communities now there. You see a girl, Italians tan, certain people from different cultures that tan very well. I've lived on Staten Island for a number of years where I went to college, and there are a lot of Italian girls there whom I know tan very well and get as dark as myself. You can't tell after a summer in Jersey. You've seen on Jersey Shore and I know some people are going to say, oh, that's spray tan. I get it. But a lot of Italian women, if you know Italian women very well, I've dated a few, they actually can get very tan, very, very tan. It raises the concern in Native communities about why people are doing this and what this means for their own identity politics again. And I don't think this is our people doing this. I'm not sure. I don't think they're doing it. So this is Joey Cliff. He's a comedian. He's responding here. He's enrolled as a member of the Cowlitz Indian tribe. And because he's indigenous, he finds himself in a lot of this conversation. And this bodes to bring in the greater conversation, right? Suppose you're white and you're 25% black, right? In the case of Frederick McKinley Jones, his father was Irish, his mom was African American. At what percentage of you being something does that allow you to now have a room at the table to talk about it when it comes to racial issues? I'm asking, because I don't think anyone ever talks about that. You need to have a certain percentage. If you're half and half, do you have a stake in the argument? Do you have a claim in the conversation about if an issue affects half of your identity or a quarter of it? I mean, that just goes to what do you identify by? Again, if someone has 30% African American, or, in the case of Barack Obama, his father was born in Kenya. He's an African Kenyan man, and he has, American descent. Does he not have a say in black issues? I mean, black culture pretty much galvanized behind Barack Obama, and he's half, he's half, he's mixed. And if he's half, at what percentage of your ethnicity do you actually have a say in claiming what you are, or what what you kind of can identify as. I think their question needs to be asked, and I think that's something when we discuss cultural identity or identity politics or identity or race relations or race as a whole. I don't know. There has to be the question of how much percentage are you to be able to have room at the table, because Native Americans are not going for that. You have to, I believe there are clear cut rules of even how much percentage you have before you can claim or be accepted as a member of the tribe. They have membership. Yes, they do, folks. And that means all the benefits, and I guess I would say benefits of those tribes, you can get it in there. Now you could be one. What is Elizabeth Warren? She's like 1/1000th Native American. I mean, but she was riding out there allegedly, for these times that she was checking off, like she was an actual. She had records of documentation showing that she was out there. And I mean, I'm going to show you this picture here to show you that I'm not making this stuff up. That let me just share my screen real quick. And this is no attack on Elizabeth Warren, but it's just like this is giving rise to probably more Caucasian people out there checking off that they're Native Americans now. This is a registration card for the State Bar of Texas. You can see here. It says race, not mixed, not white, just American Indian. This is her signature right there. This is from Amy Gardner on this, I believe, Twitter. Here is a form of Elizabeth Warren filled out for State Bar of Texas, claiming to be American Indian heritage. That's there. I'm just reporting what's been documented down here. It's not me over there, but again, this is, that's the claim that she's made, and she's apologized for this. Let's not forget, she did make an actual formal apology to the Cherokee tribe. She apologized to the Cherokee Nation. Excuse me. Controversial DNA test suggested she had Native American heritage. Back to the Pretendians, and this is gives the question of, is there a increase in rise? And this is an informing Native American people who watch the show, maybe. And is this something that is happening where you're being subverted from within inside by people trying to claim that they are, and maybe this is why the Washington Nationals, they're changing. People in there checking off that they're American Indian. And I'm just speculating here, folks, that, the formal name of the, RED skins was unacceptable and racial because people have 1/1000th% Native American, and they're claiming that it is now offensive to their 1/1000th% of tribe. Joey Cliff says a friend of mine was posting on Facebook about the protests against the Washington, D.C. NFL team a few years ago, and somebody commented a post saying something to the effect, I just got my DNA test in the mail, and it turns out I'm 1/16th Indian. Which tribe? We don't know. I think the team is fine, so everybody lay off. So he said, I made a short film. Telling people that you're Native American when you're not Native American is like telling a bear you're a bear when you're not a bear. It's basically, what does he say? These are weird microaggressions Native American folks run into in day-to-day life. People claiming they're part of the set and they're not really part of it. And my whole thing is that if you claim you're part of the set, are you there frontlining and standing up for the struggle, or are we just there for the benefits? He says, goes on and says, if you tell a bear that you, and this is a great, I love this part of the article because this is a great way for people that, might talk about when people, this person said they're 1/16th, Native American, and now all of a sudden they have a seat at the table. And a person who actually is a member of a tribe, a Native American tribe, says, you tell a bear you're 1/16th bear, but you don't know what kind of bear, and you've never bothered to research bear culture, and yet you think you have more right to an opinion about bear issues than the actual bear standing in front of you, you're going to get mauled by that bear. I think that's a great way to put it. And it says every Native Americans run into, and again, Black people, we have problems with this. What about Native Americans, right? Because Blacks have done this too. I'm 1/6. I'm half Cherokee on my grandmama's side, right? How many times we got that? Practically every Native American has run into someone who's like this, who says they've got a DNA test to prove they're indigenous, or that they have a distant ancestor that was supposedly a Cherokee princess. And there are words for people like this, pretendians. Pretendians, take it off Indians, but pretendians or wannabes, people faking jacks, perpetrators. I'm a little bit older, folks. In the 90s, we used to have a perpetrating a fraud. High profile instances that come to mind are Elizabeth Warren, and again, this is cited by NPR.org, who claims Cherokee identity, right? And she's gotten opportunities, allegedly, that other people of actual native origins could have gotten. And it doesn't matter. Andrea Smith, an academic who also claimed Cherokee identity, but had no proof to provide her enrollment in the tribe. That's what I said again. You have to be enrolled in these tribes in order to claim Native American. And why are colleges not demanding they have proof of that documentation? You have a birth certificate, and you should have proof of documentation that you are a tribal member. You belong to this nation of there. An American Indian is not a good classification because there are different tribes. There's Pewa tribe, Shawnee, Cherokee, Lenape tribes. Cherokee Nation. There are all these different tribes out there. Pewa, what is the other one? Forgive me for the tribes that I haven't. The Iroquois. There have been so many different Native American tribes out there that still, I know Cherokee supposedly is one of the biggest ones. And again, this is respect to the Cherokee Native American tribes out there, all of them. But again, they must protect their sovereignty and their culture from people who are pretendians. I mean, this is crazy, correct? What do you guys think about this? I mean, this is crazy, right? People out there pretending, and I mean, what is the purpose of all of this? And is it to give them better access for this? But again, we all have to be aware of that because I mean, what you had what now they call it transracial now, where you don't have to feel that you're one thing, and it's like, didn't Dave Chappelle do something on this? Oh man, I think Dave Chappelle did something on that, where he's an Asian man or something like that, and again, it's just it's crazy because now you have people doing this. So what's next, folks? What's next? We're gonna get to our main topic shortly, folks. I'm gonna ask the next question. All right, are black holes deadbeat celestial parents? That's right. You heard me right, folks. Are black holes runaway deadbeat parents? Celestial deadbeat parents. You might ask, why am I asking? What? You might be like, yo, hold on. What? I'm sorry. What is he talking about? What is he saying? Are black holes deadbeat parents, celestial deadbeat parents? I have to ask the question. You know why? Again, we come from an article from Yahoo. And I always like to bring you the most weirdest, stretched out things that you're probably not going to hear, folks. And again, it is some education, but it is also entertainment too as well. Listen to this, folks. Yahoo Live Science by Robert Leah. This is February 21st. This is just Tuesday, folks. 2023. Runaway black hole the size of 20 million suns found speeding through space with a trail of newborn stars behind it. Daddy, won't you come on home? Daddy was a rolling stone. I don't know if I have that song right, but where he laid his hat was his home. And a runaway black hole, yes, black holes do also run away in space. It's speeding through space. And you can imagine a black hole. You cannot make this up. Are black holes deadbeat celestial parents? A runaway black hole the size of 20 million suns found speeding through space. Oh man, even in space, celestial bodies have issues with parenthood. Yes, with a trail of newborn stars, Daddy, or is it Mommy? Who knows? Daddy, where are you going? Look at this. This is the black hole running away with all the stars running right behind it. Newborn stars, not old stars, newborn stars, folks. Yes, that is correct. This is an illustration showing a black hole. Oh, folks, man, I can't even. I'm just going to stop right there. Astronomers have spotted a runaway supermassive black hole seemingly ejected. So, hey, black people, listen. We have our issues of fathers being kicked out of the homes nowadays. Listen, it goes on in space, right? So, a black hole has been ejected from its galaxy, racing through space, could not get away from them damn kids. Racing through space with a chain of stars trailing in his wake. I lied to you now, folks. This is a real story right now. According to the team's research, which published at the preprint server, this is, I didn't just get past this point. Discovery offers the first observable evidence that the supermassive black holes can be ejected from their home galaxies to roam interstellar space. Hey, passport bros, listen, this should be this should be pretty much the what is that? What is that? The mascot for Passport Bros. And I'm not making any shots at Passport Bros, but I'm like, listen, man, even in space, a black hole can get kicked out of its home galaxies with the newborn stars running after the black hole. I lied to you not, folks. Oh man, listen, there are people talking about issues, and what I'm going to tell you one thing you will not see on this show. This is me doing things organically. I will never, what I see on YouTube a lot, if you watch people long enough, you will start seeing them redo their own content, where they'll just take a video from a long time ago and they'll put it back out, and they'll just edit it a little bit, and all you're getting is just kind of like a rerun. I'm going to try to always dedicate myself on this podcast to bring you new content, new thoughts. Some of it might be thoughts from the previous days or things like that, but I will not be trying to bring you videos of stuff that is just, this video broken up and re-put up into the beginning for a new audience to see my new content. No, you can go watch the old content. The live streams are all on their own playlists. If you've laughed one time during this show so far, in the 42 minutes that we have been talking so far, you can donate on Cash App, $Ancestrylands, and Venmo, Ancestrylands. We do take donations, folks. Donations are very important to keep the show and running. And with your donations, the donations go back into reinvesting into better equipment, hopefully one day a studio. I'm trying to do what I can and bring message to things that are discussed daily news. And sometimes we need a break from the main news that just gives a spin all day. And who else is going to give you fun topics like this to talk about, right? I hope you're entertained, folks. Ancestrylands.com is where you can go and view. We have a website, folks, where we showcase all our properties. I'm going to talk about that for 1 second. Let me take a moment to grift my own self. I'm grifting on my own channel. Yes, I am. I am my own grifter. I'm not a grifter in YouTube. I'm staying in my lane, talking about things I want to talk about, but I am my own grifter, folks. I'm going to this is a segment for me to plug my own stuff. I'm going to grift on my own show, folks. Sign right online. The contract kicks to us. We take our payments via Venmo or Cash App. After that, my wife and I sign the properties back over, the contract back over, send it to you. And you get a copy of the signed contract along with confirmation that the down payment has been received of $1,000. And each month you make payments, we send you an email confirmation that your payment's been received. Here's how much balance you have left. And we keep that going until you pay it off. We also do allow you to pay the property off without interest or a credit check. And if you do it within a certain time frame that we negotiate up front, you can get it for the same cash price. So you don't even need to pay full cash price today. You can get the property and ownership of the deed within a certain time frame if you pay the cash price off within that time frame. So if a property is $15,000, you can get up to 12 months to pay that property off at the cash price instead of the contract for $20,000. On payments. Where else can you get a deal like that, folks? Only from yours truly. You know why? Because we own the properties and we're about ownership. Ancestrylands.com, folks. That's my moment to grift. Grifting on my own channel. How dare I? We're talking about ownership. And here it is here, folks. Back to the worthless baby daddy black holes that are out in space. Research discovered the runaway black hole as a bright streak of light. Now, again, you're watching this and you're being entertained about science with a little bit of comedy. But deadbeat black holes, look at it. Passport bros, listen, even in space, a black hole is not appreciated. Look at that. Kicked out of the home with the baby newborn stars chasing after daddy. Where you going, daddy? Come on back, daddy. I'm sorry, folks. A bright streak of light while they were using the Hubble Space Telescope. Actually, you might remember the Hubble Space Telescope. I know it's still out there, right? Still working, huh? To observe the dwarf galaxy RCP-28, located about 7.5 billion light years from the Earth. This is here, and this is the black hole realizing that child support payments are coming. And out here, we can see the trail of vapors left behind. Black hole is being ejected out of there. He's getting served court papers and has child support payments due, and the newborn stars are chasing behind. He said, "Take them kids." Galaxy said, "Take them kids." Black hole said, "I ain't taking them kids." And he's out into another galaxy. This is passport black holes. Passport holes. I don't know. Passport Bros pick it up from there. And again, I'm just jesting, Passport Bros, is that maybe this is it's going on in space. Black holes aren't even welcome in their own galaxy. And as soon as they got the child support payments, the black holes are out of here. See that? Most, if not all, large galaxies host supermassive black holes. That's the BD energy. Uh, please, if someone here, please catch the little innuendos that I throw out there. I said they host supermassive black holes at their centers. BD energy, folks, right in the middle of the box of the galaxy. That's where the black. Woo! Boy, we're cooking today, folks. All right. Active supermassive black holes, the ones that are really getting into it, right? And don't forget, it's cold in space, all right? That's what Frederick McKinley Jones was going for. Cold environments to keep it cool in the middle of the box. Often launch jets of material at high speeds. Yo, are we serious right now? Listen to this. Yes. Folks, are you listening? Even in space, the it's going down. BD energy is in space, folks. Celestial BD energy. Active supermassive black holes, right? Often launch jets of material at high speeds. Anybody get what I'm saying? Which can be seen as streaks of light that superficially resemble the, the, the one the researchers spotted. They call it astrophysical jets. We got a thing at home, call it the Navy Seamen of men. Oh my goodness, folks. Yes, we're done with that story, folks. So, again, just to let men out there know, hey, you're not alone. Even in space, the BD energy of supermassive black holes, sometimes the galaxy don't even want them there. And they tell them, take them kids with you, them newborn stars, take them with you. And the black hole is running out of the galaxy, folks. Yes, that's right, running out of home. They don't want them no more. Hit the road, Jack, or hit the road, Black. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, black hole. And don't you come back no more. What you say? All right. That brings us to our next story, folks. Most young men are single. That's right. For all you moms out there with sons going up 18 or about to enter into the world right now, most young men are single. And considering that women outnumber men, this Yahoo article, again, this comes by way of yahoo.com. This says that most young men are single. Most young women are not. So what are they doing right now? How is this even happening? Let me make sure I get my seriously? How are the young women not single, but a lot of young men are, and there are more women on the planet than men? How is that happening? Let's discover this a little bit more. Most young men are single, most young women are not. More than 60% of young men are single, nearly twice the rate of young, unattached young women, signaling a larger breakdown in the social, romantic, and sexual life of the American male. Men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically involved. Leo, are you taking all the young? Is this Leo's doing? Leo, could somebody call Leo and tell him to start a 30 or above, Leo? 30 or above. Because what's going on? I mean, even what Neil Long said, apparently Neil Long said in the thing that, her at whatever was going on with her at a prom, the man was in her 30s. So again, why is this happening? Is this evidence that this is going on? Are Leo and men alike that still, because of are they taking all of the younger women, giving them kind of a false sense of what to expect with younger men who are not at the same socioeconomic level as men twice their senior? I don't know. Folks, you all can tell me what you think about this. Men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, woo, friendless, and lonely. Dang, I mean, friendless? You ain't got no homeboys and lonely. And they stand at the vanguard of an epic epidemic of declining marriage, sexuality, and I'm sorry, sexuality. Have you seen OnlyFans? I mean, I'm seeing Facebook. I don't know if you all noticed, but on Facebook, I've seen in my ads, and I mean, I'm not clicking them, but I've seen like playing, like light, Cinemax at night kind of stuff on Facebook in my ads. And I've even heard that IG, if you're young, if your parents have younger children out there, TikTok and IG are going to allow some mild form of nudity up there. So I mean, it's coming. These young men, and again, women, mothers of, okay, so here's the thing. Every man had a mother, has a mother. Every young man that is in their 20s now has a mother. Where are the moms at on this? They say that your sons are standing at the vanguard of an epic declining marriage, sexuality, and relationships. Now, yeah, and that still afflicts all of young America: black, white, Puerto Rican, green, yellow, hybrid, pretendian, folks. Even if they came off the Dragon Ball Z ball in Japan, it's affecting all the younger people. Declining marriage, sexuality and relationships. They're not learning to bond and talk. The question is, what are the parents doing about it? Excuse me, particularly the mothers, because mothers have to teach their sons how to interact and deal with women from the woman's perspective. I think that's important. And I'm not saying that it's a mother's responsibility, that she has the sole duty to teach her son this, but there is a certain level of understanding the way women work by a woman. Who is a better authority on women than the actual woman herself, right? And I mean, again, is this something that moms are not connecting with their sons? At a level of getting them to understand it. And for the women out there watching this, again, my goal is not to cause division in there, but it's kind of the bridge gap, because not a lot of moms may know, they may not, as teenagers are getting older. I don't have teenagers yet, but I remember is that, you less want to go to your mom and talk to her the same thing that used to comfort you when you were a child. You don't go to your mom for those things. You tend to kind of maybe err towards your dad or other male figures or people in your circle. And in that time period, I think men tend to focus on preparing the young man at that age towards manhood. So the men are not being taught how to engage with women from a woman's perspective. And again, I mean, that's a little dicey, because I would say, if these younger women are mostly in relationship, who are they in relationships with? Leo. I mean, Leo's just taking them all apparently from here. And the question is, are mothers okay with their younger daughters being with men their senior? There seems to be some goods and bads of that. The only thing that I see as a potential downside is that, again, if you're dating an older man, like I'm in my 40s, say, my wife and I, which I don't, but if you're going down, a lot of older men want younger women. And this is case in point with, I mean, just look at every little bit of society, and you'll see that older men typically, if they're not married, they will go and date in a younger age. And if that's the case, you have younger women who are, with older men. Nia Long said the same thing, that, they had it surface on, I think that's the Shade Room or whatever else. They had it talked about, where Nia Long said that she was going to prom. This is according to her words, that her mother allowed her to go out to prom with a 30-year-old man. And she's, underage. And I mean, this is happening all over. So again, the younger girls. When I was 20, I was nowhere near economically as stable as I am now. Nowhere near as debt ridden. Tons of debt. When you're in your young 20s, I would say that most of the time you have not been prepared for the initial phase of adulthood as a young man. And I believe that's part of the father's fault and the mother's fault as well, because there's a sense to kick the kids out and survive just like the parents before did. And I've talked about this in other live streams too as well. When I was growing up in 18, I remember my dad telling me this is clear as day. He was like, listen, you going to college, you're getting out. You don't go to college, you're getting out. And it was, you immediately one day, you were a child just a minute ago. The day you graduate, once you're 18, you change into an automatic adult. But 6 months ago, you're still playing with your Xbox, or at that time Nintendo or whatever else. You haven't even been trained into what is manhood, the responsibilities that go with it. Because not some people don't go straight to college. But as parents, what we do is we just kick our kids straight out. You're 18 right now, cool. I was still playing with video games and you were still making dinner, mom, 2, 3 months ago. I don't even know how to make a Thanksgiving meal. You're telling me now I just got to go out into the world, but that's from the previous generations of you just had to go out there and make it. And now they don't have the tools to be successful. Younger women, are still young. They're still prettier because they have youth on their side. They have those you know those actual physical benefits that they don't need to be as prepared in the initial, because these younger women here in their 20s seem to be romantically involved, but they're not romantically involved in an overwhelming number, according to this article, with men at the same age range. So they're going and dating up. This is leaving a vacuum in the young dating market. You got 60% of young men who are not dating, romantically experienced, or becoming romantically involved. Again, it says they're sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They're lonely. And again, I'm going to say, again, is this another reason why these young men in their 20s are going out to other countries and leaving and going and finding you have the passport bros coming up? Is it just because that one argument is what's being brought to the forefront because it's being divisive, or it's this evidence that the passport bros, they're getting in their 20s, they're listening to passport bros talk about women are in other countries, there's a lack of access to younger women. This is from a data-driven point. Not the point of arguing, keeping black folks arguing against each other. The complaints about black women. Black women, there are black women in this demographic that are still being involved in. There's part of the statistics. Maybe again, the rate is lower, but it's still, we're looking at 20-year-old across the board. And they're mostly romantically involved. The men, the younger men, white men, Asian men, black men, Latin men, all of them in their early 20s, your sons that are 20 years old, for the moms who care about their sons, for the moms that put on Facebook their sons going to school to get degrees and my baby, my baby, my baby. But this is another part of your son's journey through manhood. And now we leave them right at the door with their bags in their hands and say, go off and figure it out. We're not looking at this as a problem. Should we not be encouraging young men of all races in the country to go and get their passports to find out how to become more successful at relationships? Because according to this creates a whole generation of younger men, if they do not do something about it, if they do not build relationship skills, if they do not understand how to be in a relationship, if they don't understand how to be in a relationship, how to romantically be in a relationship, this will create more declines in the marriage when they do get of age or do get a turn to have access to women in America, according to these statistics. This may mean that younger women in their 20s are being entangled, or we've seen with Austin, what's his name, with the Smiths, younger that again, younger women in their 20s are now being entangled or in relationships with men, older men that may not have marriage or families in mind, thus taking away good good candidates for people building families in their 20s, just like most of our parents or us have done in our same. The 40-year-old generation now, the older millennial, the cross in the general and Gen Z, that crossover, the young Gen Zs and the older millennials, that little pocket group there, most of those people got together and got married and started families in their early to mid 20s. So now you have a whole generation of young men out there, lonely, friendless, sexually dormant, and romantically uninvolved. Where do they go in society? How can they be of benefit to the women that are in their 20s now, who are dealing with more economically viable men that are much older than they are, that probably have already had families, probably have already gone through divorces? And again, where does that lead us? Where are the mothers standing up for the young men in their 20s that are their sons that are suffering in this way? And that brings to my point, is that do the modern women care more about a paycheck than want a man? And it doesn't just mean men of marriage. It means your son is going to be a man one day. He too will find a woman, or won't find a woman in this case, to be romantically involved with, to have a family, to understand what a woman's needs are. to understand a woman's sensitivities or wants, or how to satisfy a woman altogether, because we understand that women need emotional stability. They're friendless, so they don't have long lasting relationships, male or female. And if they're your baby, then they should be your baby at this point, in the sense that your baby's now, it's your baby. They're not a baby. They still should be having some level of involvement and concern at that point. And again, do you care about them, or is it getting a check from the dad in the form of alimony, child support, and this, and that they're only good to you? And again, I have to say, is it just a male issue? No, because Nia Long, according to the Shade Room and other sources, stated that she actually said out of her mouth that her mom allowed her to go out there and date someone and go to prom with a man who was over his mid to late 20s. And again, is it about the wanting a man, wanting your son to become a man, or wanting a man to lead and raise your son to be an actual man, or completing a man with the feminine part, the feminine understanding that he needs to have to engage with women, to know how to talk to women. Being a man with a woman doesn't mean that you need to dominate her by oppressing her. You need to dominate with your authority and capability to achieve qualified outcomes for you as a group. That is what being a man for your family is. But again, if you have the only male perspective, which teaches you to go out there and the goal is to get in bed with a girl while you're young, you're going out there incomplete. And then you're listening to other podcasts or other YouTubes out there giving you half a point of the information, talking about women being submissive, this, and this. But again, men have the job to lead a woman to getting qualified outcomes. Once you put a baby in her, the direction, all of the future heading, financial stability, financial success, that is now the man's job to ensure that outcome while she is tending to the child, the newborn. You have the responsibility. Are men being taught that responsibility? And if the dads are going to teach them, then why isn't the moms teaching them? If the man is failing, then why hasn't the mom teach them to not become the father which she hates? It doesn't mean that you need to change the parts of the father that he is a man himself because you decided that you were somewhat attracted to that man to have children with. But it means that you need to change the one or two aspects which contributed to your relationship being a downfall, in the sense of you educate and enlighten that man, or you put that young man with mentors that can help him build to grow as a man. Or is it just about the paycheck? Getting the alimony, getting the child support so you can live 18 years or however many years of having part of his income, and your son or daughters are seeing that and grow up to say, well, I'm going to take on the same way. And what I need to do is look at my dad being older now, because now I'm 20 and my father's older, still giving my mom support in her 40s, 50s, and 60s. So then I'm going to go and date a man who has that kind of assets. Because most 20-year-olds are roommates with other college mates. They probably don't have two nickels to put together to get a sub. They're not financially stable yet. They are just starting to enter into their careers. They're just starting to build their journey to manhood, which I've talked about in other podcasts. And I haven't talked about it in its totality because I want to continue to give these points on, again, the mothers. If you're a man in your life has failed you and your family, I'm speaking to the moms who solely have real deadbeat dads. What have you done to improve your son's success when he's starting his journey to manhood? Because every man will tell you an 18 or 19-year-old is just a young buck. That is not a man just yet. That is a legal adult. They have just started the journey of manhood. And the reason why I can say this is because my father, who's 60, he's a little bit older, he's in his 60s. He's been a man a lot longer than I have. Just like I have a nephew in his 20s. Shout out to my nephew, Kevin. And my younger nephew, TJ, but he's a baby. But my nephew, Kevin, he's in his early 20s. I've been a man a lot longer than he has. There's experience at different tiers of manhood as a man grows throughout his life. His perspective changes, his aggression changes, his vision to taking care of things is much wider as he gets older. His patience should change. His temperament should change as he gets older. His view of things that he thought in his 20s will change in his 30s and 40s. He will evolve if he is on the right track or de evolve. Depends. But where is the mother's responsibility to assist or bring the resources to this man? Or is it all about that check? You're leaving your daughters out there to be with men who are older, which is nothing's wrong with that. Some people are attracted to older men. Men tend to have a certain level of conversation. We've traveled a lot more. When I say we travel, we haven't traveled to some location just to engage with women, but we've gone out to see things. I've taken my family to places, Cape May, we've seen dolphins there. We've traveled all over the country. At a certain age, a man wants to see more than just a box. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a woman in your life. But these young men in their 20s, they're being left behind. And does the mom not have a role in helping her young man become a true man, a better man, if that's the case? And if the dads are in the picture, the dads are going to teach a man things according to being a man. It is a man focused teaching or mentorship. You are providing and protecting. That's what we talk about. Those are you're providing provision, resources, things like that. But a woman has a job to tell a man, here's what a woman may like. Here's where a woman likes to be touched. I know you don't want to have the conversation with your sons, but again, then get somebody in there who can give that conversational piece. Because men ain't talking about it. If the man has not pleased you, how can he teach your son how to please a woman? How? And it's not like men are going around teaching this in class. My dad didn't teach me anything on that stuff. Nothing. And it's not a shot to my father, but men don't normally teach that to younger men. We're talking about the bigger things, running a family, paying your taxes, we're trying to get them up to the point where they can have economic stability to be able to afford dependence. But this article says that something else is occurring within the men of youth, and it is not going out there and telling them that masculinity is toxic. What you're seeing right now is this is the toxic masculinity is being ignored, not evolving manhood. They're sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. So again, it has nothing to do about oppressing women. They're not equipped to be able to deal with women, let alone run a household. They're told to be stoic. Stoic how? If you bottle up your emotions, you will eventually become depressed or explode. Men cry in the dark. Men have feelings. The problem is that they're not allowed avenues to express those feelings. And that is where a mother should be there to be able to talk with their sons, to listen to their sons. They stand at the vanguard of an epidemic declining marriage, sexuality, and relationships that affects all young America. This means that when we get older, in about 20 years, these people will be 40. That means the 20-year-olds will either have been divorced or not wasted their younger years being with an older man. Nothing's wrong with being an older man now. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say that. But again, by the time they look back to saying the men that are in their 20s that have built, and again, this is a problem where people are missing. They're talking about women not being up to snuff, but no, this article might be alluding on something else that is a little known contributor to why you have men leaving the country to go out to find women. Why women are saying the men are not ready. They're not prepared. Why we're picking are the choices that we're picking. And this is telling you right here, and people are ignoring it. I don't have 20-year-old children, but if I did, I'd be talking to my wife and paying a hell of a lot of attention to this fact right here and sitting down and talking with my sons and daughters saying, hey, you're grown, I get it. But hey, we need to have this conversation because I'm looking at this article, which was pointed out with live lunch with Uncle Phil on Ancestrylands YouTube channel. And he's talking about this, and we need to make sure, what are you doing about this? because you can't go through the world being sexually dormant all your life. As a man, it's unhealthy. And to my daughters, hey, are you engaging with the man and are you getting qualified outcomes? Okay, you're romantically involved. He takes you on flights, he takes you on trips. What is he doing to build a future with you? Or is he going to drop you off at the end of that bus stop and you're left with the bag holding your hands and all you got is a few Birkin bags to show for your time? Or you have dependents to raise and you're just getting a check now because we didn't raise our children to ask the proper questions, or we weren't learning about the things that are affecting our children. I, as a parent, have no interest in letting my kids go out to the world for them to say that they are alone. It doesn't work in businesses, it doesn't work in anything in life. If my kids want to take that road alone, they can, but they know, hey, dad's got your back. If you call me when you need me, hey, there are things I want to talk to you about that I hear about going on. What are you doing about these issues? And that conversation happens when they're young and it continues on into their adulthood. One thing I remember about my mom growing up, my friends and I, we used to go out to clubs. You know, when you were in Jersey, in South Jersey at the time, in the '90s, late '90s, early 2000. I'm sorry, late '90s. There used to be clubs that were open that served non-alcoholic drinks, and this is going to go back a little bit, folks. Where at you there, like it was always when a Monday was you had off on a Monday. That Sunday night. Shout out to Old Club Iguanas. Anybody in the South Jersey area know about Club Iguanas? That was the first club that you could go to where you had to be under 18 to get into that club. It was just they didn't serve any alcohol. It was just young kids there on a Sunday night where you had a Monday off. Club Iguanas was open. All my Jersey people stand up about this one. And there might have been many other clubs like that, but sometimes the clubs, they figured out a business plan of opening up a Sunday into a Monday and having the kids go there. And it was a non-alcoholic dance place. Music, everything else. They sold drinks, sodas, whatever else, but it was just a club where you could go ahead and dance. Blew my mind when I went to it. You know, girls dance and everything else like that. Blew my mind. And again, it was a place to interact with young people. Hey, here's another business ideas. You can open up a nightclub that serves non-alcoholic drinks that's to 18-year-olds to up to 14-year-olds. Give them a place to interact. They can go and dance. And of course, you have security, nightclub, business opportunity there. I grew up, it was the best place to go. Always a Sunday and until Monday night. Again, here you will get business ideas. We talked about the Black Border Patrol against the Super War invasion. Go back to the Super War invasion episode. You can learn about business opportunities there. And again, you can open up a nightclub, a place where kids can go and dance. They have, you know, they don't serve any alcoholic drinks, so you don't need a liquor license or anything like that. And you have a place that kids can interact in a non-alcoholic form. But again, where are the parents at? He said, look at this. We're in a crisis of connection. The younger people do not know how to connect with each other. The girls are already 60% romantically involved. 20-year-olds, 60% are already engaged in some type of a relationship with a girl, a man, a zebra. It don't matter. So they're off the board. These young men do not have dating prospects. They are leaving the country, going out to try to find other areas to engage with other cultures. This is not black men or men just not going outside their race. There is a lack of available dating recipients. We're in a crisis, and it tells you right here, but we're still on, black men don't want black. That's not the issue here. When you do not have available numbers, if there are only, again, I'm going to go to here, all right? Again, we're at a family cookout. I have family in the South, fried chicken. As a Southerner, white families, you may not know this, people in the North, but in the South, white families like to cook fried foods too. They like watermelon, just like black people do. All right. It's not a stereotype. It actually is a Southern type. Collard greens are made at white homes too in the South. So is mac and cheese, grits, hog mog. It is a Southern thing, not a black thing. It just became a black thing to put something on there. But peach cobbler is served in black homes as well as white homes. Potato salad being whatever people I have been to many places that my wife has tried to. My wife is white. Remember that. My wife is white in California. All right. So she's not from the north or the south, she's out west. And she has tried to tell me what was called potato salad, but I have called it a forgery because I'm from the south. I'm born in Virginia. I told her that if you telling me that potato salad has no relish in it at all, no mustard at all, that is a forgery. Potato salad, no way. In any case, that is not something that is particular to Black people. It is something that is a Southern cultural thing. No matter where you are in the South, you will see either good or bad potato salad being served in a home, no matter what color you go into. And again, these younger people are being disconnected from one another. The girls are going out and dating people. Leonardo DiCaprio, shout out to him and what he does. Even Brad Pitt was seen with a younger woman. Now, I'm not saying Leo, but we all know about his thing. But again, it's not like white older men are not doing it too. They're dating down younger. And again, there are no families being created this way. And where are the mothers connecting with their sons to say, hey, this is a problem? There's not enough pool of women for you to select from, let alone quality women. Quality women that you can build a family with. That if your son is interested in a girl, you as a mother, can I ask this question to moms out there? And again, this is to bring light to something. If you have a son, do you want to see your son divorced? Do you want to see your son living outside of his home, visiting his kids on weekends, crying in the dark, or just trying to suck it up to be stoic, as they say from the male point? Because the male will teach them, be stoic, don't show your emotion, don't argue with women. These men are hurting here, alone because they grown. That was your baby. And again, I always say it at 17. How many men have gone through this, right? Your dad, you're 17 years old. You might be getting your driver's license. You're just learning how to drive. In most states, you're just learning how to drive. Your dad's proud of you, son. I just taught you how to brake and not kill us and drive into a pole, how to stop correctly. You get about a year in there, and your dad starts looking at you like, he's grown now. He now has to get out. And you're like, you mean like out? Like, I don't have to go out now because you and mom you're about to dust off the cobwebs and perform and get into bed and go do something real quick? Not that out. You mean like out? And and people tell you, we love you as they send you right out the door. You're going to be a man now. No, what you're going to do is struggle and fight to survive. What you're going to do is be struggling in an environment that your parents have no knowledge they're sending you out into, and you have no tools to be successful. You will see girls that you like pass you up for men that have more economic resources than you do in life because you are young and have not started. Those men will dominate the good years of her youth, and she will either have babies with them or not have children and come back to you in her 30s for you to procreate and have a family. And again, women, there is a thing called pair bonding. Look it up. Science has shown the more partners you have, the least likely you are to pair bond to a person that will end up being potentially your mate for life. That's science facts. Look it up. And are they telling their daughters this? When these men come to the house and they meet the mothers or they hear about that, does the mom have a conversation with this man, or do we let him go to prom and have a night where, again, what are we doing here? And our young 20-year-olds are being left out to dry. And you say you love them. What worth does your love have when it doesn't mean anything and they're suffering in life? What person can sit there and know their son is faced with this? And again, it's like going to war, right? We all love the Spartan 300s. We love that one. We love Spartan 300. Even the women, we love Spartan 300, right? And what did the women say? Come back with your shield, your sword and your shield, or on it. Everybody like, oh, go ahead, girl, whatever, right? And again, but he had a sword and a shield to go out in the world to fight a war with. You're sending him out there with nothing. He'll be all right. He cute. Every mom with a son think their son is cute. But it says right here, something else is going on. And where are the mothers that care about the sons? This is not to tear down. This is to make you ask the question before you send that kid to a college campus university, does he know how to connect with a woman? Does he have sexual interactions with the woman? I see boys hanging around more boys and they're not into boys. They're just hanging around a group of boys, even though this says friendless, and they have yet to talk to a girl. A girl will walk by, they'll all sit there. They don't even know to say hi to the girl. And she don't even have to be pretty for them to be stuck like that. They don't know the first thing to do. And women are walking by seeing this with your sons. Do you not have a hey, here's how you talk to a woman. If we are to have equal rights, then why are you not training your young men to interact with women according to your wants and terms? Or is it all about destruction? We are in a crisis of connection. Niobe Way. This is a woman, a psychology professor and founder of for the Project for the Advancement of Our Common Humanity at New York University, NYU, folks. Disconnection from ourselves and disconnection from each other, and it's getting worse. And again, where this will affect a marriage, will affect the family, is you will have people who have gone through this. They'll marry a man. All the women out there, you might be looking at your husband at this part. You might want to turn it down or put on your earphones. Men, you might want to turn the volume up at this time because I'm about to go into something that most people don't want to hear or acknowledge. Was he your first choice? Are you sitting in the car right now looking at a man that was your first choice? Or did you settle? Yeah, I see people leaving now. Oh, I see the women trying to let me turn the volume. Let me get out of here before he hear. I thought it was good for us to both listen. Now I'm going. Let's get out of here because I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this part and get to knowing what I really think of him. And for the men, was she your first choice, or did you watch her make multiple choices before you became the last option? Woo, daddy, are we cooking right now? Because when you were younger, she was looking for exactly. That's what she wanted. That black hole BD celestial energy, correct? And that's you watched her. You stayed on the sidelines, seeing her go from relationship to relationship, waiting for a chance to show that you had everything those other men that she selected did not. On the sidelines, being the good friend. Or you had that man there that you settled on and said, I need to pick him before these doors ain't looking too good anymore. I'm seeing a lot of straggled men, a lot of worthless men. He ain't got no teeth. He ain't got no job. He ain't got no insurance. Maybe I ought to go with a good old boy over there who's been sitting around for a long time. Waiting on the sidelines to be called in, coach. You know, like Rudy, the movie Rudy. If you ever go back and watch the movie Rudy, right? Rudy just never played. Everybody started cheering the Notre Dame story. Movie Rudy, played by the guy who played Samwise from Lord of the Rings, right? He's sitting there short, but he had a heart of gold. Heart of gold. Played, suffered, went through the grit. End of the movie, last few plays, coach calls him in. And he's a little fiery. He says, Rudy, get in there, heart of gold, right? But he was passed up game after game after game. And when he got in there, he was so eager to get in there. You got a lot of men that are last option picks. They're not first round draft picks. And I got news for you guys. That's probably why there's another dysfunction in your life. And the women that are picking these men, you're directly contributing to another bad relationship that you have. You guys don't talk. You don't spend time with each other. You don't build a relationship. You're in a marriage where the man is unhappy because he either one has not developed the social skills, friendless and lonely, and the marriage is pretty much DOA before he even got the ring on, and that's there. And again, the woman shifts to the next phase of now what I want is the check. Then she has a son or a daughter. Both matter because if you have a daughter, there's a good chance she's going to be with a man sometime in the future. And even if she doesn't, you're still going to have to operate in a world where men out there in their 20s, who are going to grow up to be the 30s and 40s, your peers, your teachers, your principals, your presidents, your congressmen, your bosses, your coworkers will be these men here who are romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. So, what have men started doing? They said, you know what? I'm going to leave the country to find more viable options because the numbers are not working out right now. I need emotional connection. And they're going outside of the race, not because they don't think Black women are it, but again, there is not enough competent and viable people to build families with. And the first thing they said here, it's an epidemic of declining marriage. That's the first thing that is suffering. And yes, in the United States, single motherhood is on the rise for all races. Look it up. Sexuality. This might be the reason why you have the emergence of girls who identify as something else and something else and something else, and their relationships are with another girl, or now they're even trying to be with animals, creating hybrid superboars that are invading the United States. It could just go any way at this point, correct? And it's affecting young America, which will become middle age America, which will become older America, which will become boomer America, or whatever they're going to call it in the future. They will be the elderly people out there with the lack of options. Could you imagine 40 years from now when I'm 80 and these people are in their 60s and everyone is single, unable to connect? These people are going to have children. What are they going to teach their children when they have children? This has outcomes for even us older folks in the future. And my question goes back again, as a mother, can you sit there and see your son be divorced from a woman? He only sees your grandchildren on certain days. Maybe you don't even see him at all. Maybe he works and does what he can, and he still cannot see or raise his children. But he's got to work extra to pay for a woman who wants to get a check from him because that's what she thinks is important rather than raising an actual family. 80% of divorces are filed and initiated and started by women. If you have a son, this is a statistic you need to hear. That's your baby, right? You're going to sit there and watch that happen. And I'm telling you right now that in his young 20s, he will be faced with an epidemic of connection, declining marriage, and he's going to get married, and you're going to go there and sit there and clap, not knowing that he's up against stats, not like what I was up against too, because when I was growing up, the number one cause of divorce was finances. That means money issues. Sex was fidelity. Lex was communication. Well, communication jumped to number one. In the worst case scenario, the young man's social disconnect can have tragic consequences. And here we go into the one. You care about your sons, correct? That's your baby, correct? See, it's easy, and I tell my wife this too. It's easy to look at him now. My son is 6. I got another one that's 5 months old. They don't have chest hair. They don't have facial hair yet. They're not grown and farting. They're not eating you out of house and home yet. But somewhere along the line, he starts to either look like his dad or resemble his dad's ways. The man you either love or hate, or both. Then you start to see what's the emergence of a man, and your psyche changes towards him from that's my baby to I call him that's still my baby. But again, here we have more stats for the mothers out there that say they care about their sons. Young men commit self deletion. You can read the word here. I'm not going to say it. At 4 times the rate of young women. Who needs to be protected? Younger women are already in relationships at large in their 20s. Young men self-delete themselves at 4 times the rate of young women due to, let's scroll up again, and this is an article of psychologists a psychology professor is talking about this actual problem with young men. This is a woman who's a professor, Niobe Way, that she's the founder of the Project for Advancement of Our Common Humanity at New York University. One thing I hear about all of the male content creators out there talking about young men, they're not giving you any of these kind of stats. And it is not a fact of they have different talking points. But as male leaders, people in their 40s that are talking to the young 20-year-olds, you need to start educating them with some actual stats that are not the main talking points of men just going out there and going and looking at passport bros. Men need connection. They need a woman they can connect to physically and emotionally. And in some cases, spiritually. I would also say that's very important. It is not a woman who will just submit. It is a point of connection. And the reason why I say that, and I can show you some proof, there are people who are connected with wild animals, and the animal will not do anything to end that person's life, but will end another person's life. You can't leave them in a room with there. So again, it is about connectivity. I'm not saying women are pets, but I'm saying that these young men need to learn how to connect. And how do you learn to connect? You have to actually start having a conversation with your children. You got to do more than just ask them about their day or how things went. You got to ask them about their friends, what they like, what they don't like about them, how to look out for manipulative behavior. Have they gone on dates? Is there a girl they like? Is a girl that they've talked to? Why haven't they talked to them? What's stopping them? You can't just say, oh, he's doing good. He got good grades in school. Again, he needs connection. And again, it tells you that this continuing on has longer lasting tragic consequences. And if he was your baby in the good times, why are you not helping him through his worst? Fathers, oh, my young son, this, and this. Again, tell me to the parents whose young sons did this. Do you wish you could have helped him then? Or does it take for him to actually, you get that phone call from the ex-wife, the baby mama, the mom, your ex-wife, that this happened and you wish you could take it all back now? There are parents out there wishing this message could be put out to all parents, men and women, about their sons. Does that mean that you have to go and take control? No, but you need to have a conversation. And the conversation needs to be able where you as a parent can listen to them talk. Not be so busy that you're just checking in with your children. You need to be able to have conversations. Sometimes an hour of your day may be required to speak with your children, grown children, teenage children. How about going out to dinner with your son or daughter one-on-one and sitting down and talking to them? Training them to learn how to communicate, to be comfortable communicating. How many times are our kids sitting around listening to us talk and not being a part of the conversation? You heard the saying, this grown folks talking, get out of there. I tell my children that sometimes, but they're cutting in and being rude. They're not being part of the conversation at large. And sometimes the conversations are above a 6 and an 8-year-old's conversation level, but still, conversation should be open for all to communicate in the dialogue. Are parents having that conversation with their children? Or even one-on-one intimate conversations, where intimate is more of you speaking one-on-one. Sitting down and going out with your children. And here we get into more things like that. The ones who don't take it upon themselves to take themselves off the checkerboard of life, the next ones are largely responsible for the rise and rates of mass gunplay at large. Right here, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not going to say it out loud. You got to look at the actual stream to see this. Because again, what are these young men suffering for? This is not toxic masculinity. This is ignored masculinity. How many times do young men try to go to their father to talk and they can't get because dad's got too much bravado in him, too much bravado and bullshit in him to talk to him like a regular person? Because he think they're going to make their son weak. No, what's weakening them is society. Because everybody thinks a man should just be strong. He's 20 years old. As far as a man is concerned, he's only 2 years old into manhood. Let me ask you a question, folks. Would you leave a 2 year old home and alone? And for the people that do they not get arrested? Well, your son at 20 has only been 2 years into the journey of manhood. How much preparation do they have for life as opposed to a man in their 50s? How much life have they seen? How much manhood have they experienced to be able to go out here and interact with us older men age 40? See, yeah, we can go and talk to a young girl because we've had experience, we've had failure, we've had success, we've had many things that have time tested us to get ahead in the world. But one thing we've had to learn is through the hard nights failing in life. Why the younger kids don't need that because again, they're going at 4 times the rate, which means whatever we're doing, it doesn't work for the next generation. Men, it's time to change the format. It is time to evolve the message. Because we didn't grow up with social media, they are. There's not just one bully in school, there are bullies online all over the place. There's time to change the playbook, men. We need to adapt, adapt, and evolve again. Because our sons are not the same children that we grew up to be. You cannot give them the same playbook that was given to you, and you barely got through it yourself, but you expect your son to create the freaking a Hail Mary pass throw to win the game by 1 point, buzzer beater accomplishment and success in life. It doesn't work that way. And then you turn around and have the gall to scoff at your son for being a failure in life or not living up to your expectations. Well, you didn't build him in anything because you left him alone in life in the world of home at 2 years old as a man. He's only been a man for 2 years, and you're expecting him to do everything you can. We don't expect a 2 year old to drive a car. Why are you expecting a 2 year old in the journey of manhood to not still have side by side mentor and leadership? This is why back in the days, you had an elder in the tribe. Yes, young men did things, but they still had elders that stayed behind and still tended to young children, young men to talk to them and educate them on the journey through manhood. And even the older men, my age, were still taught and mentored by men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s because they still had to learn how to get through their 40s and 50s to get to 60. But everybody's got it, everybody's got the playbook, right? They don't. And again, the women, this is what's happening to your sons. You need to stop women from saying toxic masculinity and start looking at this because what it is they're just taking themselves off the chessboard. Or it's becoming so much to the point. This is the toxic masculinity. This right here is these young 20-year-olds. And again, I know people are going to jump off now and they got a son that they're going to go pick up from school and right now on their way to go pick up. And again, they're romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They're lonely. And nobody cares about these young men. I do. I'm talking about it. Men, young men, 20s. This is to all the young men that are 20. For the moms out there, I am going to offer you all an avenue. If you're a young man going through this now, phdavis at ancestrylands.com. You can email me and I will respond back to the young men out there that feel like they're being left behind in society. I'm not creating a group that's going to turn on the world or turn to other people because I know men in their 30s or 40s that are hurting. They need to have a conversation. They need to be inspired. They need to know that they're not alone. They need a friend. They need people that actually can connect them to other people with resources that are doing things to help uplift them in life. As a person who sells land, land is one thing that I've seen uplift people in life. You need a person that is a gateway, not a gatekeeper, but a gateway to actually fixing some of the real problems that men are suffering from today. Not giving people a whole bunch of 30-second clip advice that don't really help them out. TikTok and Instagram. Scholars say, again, when I'm going to go back a little bit, excuse me, societal changes that began in the Eisenhower years have eroded the patriarchy that once ruled the American home, classroom, and workplace. Women now collect nearly 60% of the bachelor's degrees. Men still earn more, but among the youngest adults, the income gap has narrowed from $43 a week. That's the income gap narrowing. So again, women, you're going up getting degrees, you're closing the gap. What are you going to do with the newfound power and responsibility? Do you have a responsibility to fix any of the society issues? Or was equality not what you really wanted? It was dominancy. Okay, so here you go. You're going to take the lead. Are you going to take responsibility with the authority that you now want? Because again, men can't do it alone. I know men don't like to hear that, but you can't do it alone. Scholars say the new era of gender parity has reshaped relationship dynamics, empowering young women who are going after powerful older men. Leo DiCaprio is a great example of that. Brad Pitt is another great example of that. In many cases, removing young men from the equation. These are your sons, ladies. Women don't need to be in long-term relationships. They need to be married. This is not me. I'm just quoting someone else here. Okay, I'm not stating this is not the opinion of Ancestry Lands. I'm going to say I'm going to save my own private opinion. I want the people to comment in the chat. Okay, because again, this is what might be happening out there. And I mean, Leo's a great case to look at this to really prove in the point. All the women he's dated, long-term relationships, but it never lasts. It didn't lead to an equatable outcome. They're not being given in a retirement package. There's no 401k involved, allegedly. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know. But I've never heard one say, hey, I've got a great package up there. They probably have an NDA, which means do not disclose anything that happened. They might be paid off with some money allegedly at the end to say, hey, go on and have a good time, live off of this 50K or 100 grand for a little while. That's not going to last you any bit of life. And now she has in her mind, this is how she's going about getting men. So this is a quote. Women don't need to be in long-term relationships. They don't need to be married. They'd rather go to brunch with friends than have a horrible date, said Greg Matos, a couple and family psychologist in Los Angeles who recently penned a viral article called What's Behind the Rise in Lonely Single Men. I don't know. Comment and tell me if you think that's true. Recent years have seen a historic rise in unpartnered American, particularly the young. The pandemic or plandemic in some cases has made things worse. A Pew Research Center found 30% of US adults are neither married, living with a partner, or engaged in a committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults are single, 34% women, and a whopping 63% men. So that means, again, for all the people, passport bros, you better listen to this part of the stream. Anybody who might be supporting a passport bros should share and clip this part of the stream and put this out there. Again, men passport bros should make the case. If there are 63% of the men that are in their 20 young adults that are out there that are single, and only 30%, 34% of women are, where are they supposed to get dating from? They have to go somewhere else. There are not enough resources here for the numbers don't match. Passport bros, you're welcome. I just gave you your flaming sword to go back out for the fight. Here's your ammunition now to support the argument why the issue is not really a black issue or a black woman issue. There is not enough women out there who are single for the single men that are out there. It's almost double. There are only 34% of young women who are single. And then if you start adding in sexual preference, that number will drop significantly. There are 63% of men that are single. That's almost double by these standards. That's one thing you will get in this podcast is some statistics that actually tell you the root source of the problem. This is more than just a preference issue. This is a how much is out of there. This is supply and demand, folks. And passport bros, here you go. I'm not against you. If anything, I'm in support because we got 63% of the men who are not. If I'm just going to talk about black men alone, okay? Even if we're talking about any race of men, black men, here's my support for the black community. This might be part of the reason why my wife is white. I'm not going to say that is because that's not the only reason why my wife is white. That I married my wife. I didn't marry her for her skin color. I married her for who she was. But again, you tell me, women. You tell me, people who are against passport bros, because I'm sure this segment will not be brought out into the mainstream. Many passport bros are going to miss this information that gives them validity in their argument to go outside the country, to give all the race baiters a silencing moment. How in the world, if you look at this is according to Pew Center research, 30% of the adults, US adults, are neither married, living with a partner, engaged, or committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults are single. 34% are women, and 63% double are men. There are more men out there who are single that are, again, let's go back up here. Let's go back up here because we're going to talk about this one part. And again, this I ask, are they into a check or are they into getting their sons success? Is it a check or is it success that you want for your sons? Men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved. They're more likely to be uninvolved. Passport bros, where are you at supporting me on this one? Sexually dormant, which means that they have no sexual anything at all. Not even like they haven't had it in a while. Forget sexless marriages. We're talking about young single men in their 20s, friendless and lonely. I have to go back down. Give me 1 second. They're talking about what's the rise of single and lonely, and the only thing they have to talk about is toxicity, not the numbers, not the fact that there are 34% of women that are single out of young adults, and there are 63%. There are more men that are single than there are younger women who are single, almost double. So every one woman you have that's single, you got two men that are single. Even if she matched them 1-to-1, you still would have the remainder, which is another what? What's that, about 29%, almost another 30% itself, that are still single out there. If you had every young adult be in a relationship, a committed relationship, you still would have 29% of the young adult men out there who have no woman to be with. And this is not including sexual preference. Passport bros, you're welcome. Do I support you and what you're doing? Yeah, because if it's for you having relationships and getting rid of these things that these young men are going through, self-deleting and going out there contributing to the overmass part of this tragic consequences of 63% of young men being single is the fact that they self-delete. Where are all the mamas and daddies talking about sons that are depressed and lonely sitting out there? They have no one to connect to. And you're talking about toxic masculinity, you should be ashamed of yourself. And then the ones that don't have enough balls to go in there and take themselves out of the picture, they go and just take it out on everyone else. It's not toxic. You're leaving them out lonely, desperate, and destitute. And what men are telling them now was stoicism. No, what we need is stats, and we need to promote men to go out there and bring back happiness to the United States with more marriages, regardless of race, so they can start building families, marriages that stay together. And again, there needs to be some regulations within the passport bros theology, principles and practices talking about is the purpose to go out there and just slang away and give away, the BD or whatever, the white D or the Latin D? Is it a way just to go out there and slang some D out here recklessly? Or is the purpose of going out there with a passport to go back there and bring women of quality back? So you can build a family. You can start building wealth and legacy. Because again, the stats don't show out here men being single and lonely is going to benefit here. It says the younger men are not winning. So all you 40-year-olds out there talking about stay stoic, the men are taking themselves out the board 4 times the rate of women. And I've yet to hear anyone from the manosphere, anyone from the passport brosphere talk about these statistics. I'm helping you all out here. I'm helping out mothers who have sons that have lost their lives by taking themselves out because they're romantically uninvolved and lonely. And the stoicism ain't going to help none of this stuff, folks. Bottling in the emotions is the reason why 4 times more likely to take themselves out. And it's not because they're weak. Tell me again, have you ever had a loaded firearm in your hand and been afraid to pop yourself, even if it was a non-fatal injury? It takes a lot of strength to sit there and pop yourself and take yourself off the chessboard. That's not a weak person. That's a person who's lost all hope. How dare you? Only half of the single men are out. I'm sorry, let me go back up here. Not surprising, because I don't want to skip the part. This is super important here. Not surprising, the decline in relationship marches astride with the decline in sex. The share of sexual activity active Americans stands at a 30-year low. 30-year low. Around 30% of young men reported in 2019 they had no sex in the past year, compared to 20% of the women. That's a gap. That's a big gap. Only half of single men are actively seeking relationship or even casual dates. They're not even, and it's declining. They're not even trying anymore. So yeah, the passport bros are the only. This is a new avenue for young men to find a way. Young men don't have young men groups that are. They should be going into passport bros to say, "Is this for me?" And again, it is not black men choosing other races. There's not enough of you that are single to start and build a relationship with. You have to think that the pandemic had an impact on some of the numbers. This is from Fred Rabinowitz. I assume that is a person of some European descent, a psychologist and professor at the University of Redlands who studies masculinity. Men are watching a lot of social media and they're watching a lot of prawn. Thank you for all the people, former YouTube people, who give me that language that you can read right here. We do not say that word on YouTube, social media, because that word is a buzzword that will get your account flagged. Prawn is just a reverse of the O and the R. And I think they're getting a lot of their needs met without having to go out. Why is that? I think it's starting to be a habit. Now, again, has the environment become too hostile for men to go out there and shoot their shot? But again, you got to look at the fact that there are not enough single women out there for them to even start practicing working on getting rejected from, which is why passport bros are a necessity for men right now, rather than to continuously have 4 times the rate of self-deletion and also 4 times the rate of group shootings out there. And no one wants to talk about it. Even seasoned researchers struggle to find to fully account for the relationship gap between young men and young women. If single young men out-young single young women nearly 2 to 1, which I've said before, then who are all the young women dating? Older men. Some of them are dating each other. Of course they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that does mean that the men have a lack of viable options, which is why the reason why you need to have passport bros, because there are not enough options for the young men. This right here should be the Bible upon which passport bros are standing on. This right here, right? This right here should be the evidence that you need to validate the passport bros' existence. I've just helped you all out. A married man. Because the data means something, not the talking points, the data. And again, right here, you have men and women contributing to the reason why they're studying this happening with young America. I'm not talking about what they're going out there and doing, but again, this is why a reason why you need to drop the hat on the blackism and start talking about the whatism, what is going on that is affecting young people. And older people, we don't have a pulse on it from our older experience in life when we were 20 years ago trying to pull in 1990s data to 2023. It don't work. Because we didn't have social media like that. You didn't have access. We had VHS. Blu-ray and DVD didn't come out until we were well in our 20s. And even then, you didn't have the internet being proliferated like it does now. You're playing from the wrong playbook. 1/5 of Generation Z identifies as queer. Research suggests bisexual women make up a large share of the young adult queer community. These are statistics and facts which show your young 20-year-old son will go out to the world and have 4 times more likely a chance to self-delete or end up taking massive innocent people off the board because they are lonely, unsexually dormant, not even lack of having sex. They're just sexually dormant. The passport bros need to actually stand together and see these statistics and say, we're here to help. We should be educating these young men how to go out there and again proliferate to get actual equatable actions, not leaving them to be left behind. And again, women are closing the income gap. You all should be at the forefront helping them to do it. Young women are also in date. Oh my gosh, I did not even read this, and I'm good. Good Lord, people, listen. I don't read these articles. I select the articles based upon what I think the titles are and their talking points. They're at random. I do not read the articles fully. I try to get into the first few lines, and here we are about what my talking points now. Young women are also dating and marrying. Let me say that word again because it's a boy. Let me go here. The word right there is marrying. Younger women are also dating. Here we are. Younger women are also dating and marrying slightly older men, carrying on a tradition. Hold on, I'm sorry. Y'all are getting more degrees than anyone else, and y'all are marrying older men, carrying on a tradition that stretched back more than a century. The average age at first marriage is around 30 for men, 28 for women. That coincides with the danger zone talked about in some of the popular manosphere points. These are census figures. I don't care whether you think you're a feminist or whatever else, this matters because feminists go on to have children, even if they're in same sex marriages, and they do have sons. Your sons that you care about, that you either one of you has birth, that you are claiming to be the child you love, will grow into a man you did not pick, and they still have to deal with these issues going out in the world. Even if it's not the other ones, they still are 4 times more likely to take themselves out in life. What do you care at that point? Or is it about getting a check? Heterosexual women are getting more choosy. Well, you don't say. Women don't want to marry down, marrying down. Oh my God. Oh my God. And again, they don't want to marry down. Why is that? Why are they picking these more advanced men? Why are they picking men who are slightly older? Why? Why are they? Why are they? Why are they marrying? Why don't they want to marry down if a man has potential or not have potential? Why? Why is it men on their own level or up? But those men are going to be pickier amongst the younger women and select from that top foam of who's the cream at the top. And the other women are still going to chase after those men who may or may not be unattainable. I'm just asking the question here, folks, because again, I'm bringing to light stats and statistics and articles that are talking about this. First marriage for men is around 30. 34% of the women who are young adults are single. 63% are men. There are not enough young single women for young men to marry. They're becoming more choosy, the women that are going to marry. And they're going to marry up, not down, which means that young men have no chance in hell because they are not economically viable until they're around my age in their 40s. And I could attest to that. Even while being a nurse right out of college, my financial literacy, my financial understanding, my financial emotionality, meaning that your need to buy things purely because of that. I talk with my 20-year-old nephew, Kevin, about that. Putting your money in places that you can invest in things that have long-term outcomes. Most 20-year-olds want to buy Jordan and sneakers. There's no problem with that. But they're not focusing on anything in the long term. You need male mentorship for that. Yeah, you could buy J's, but you should be buying something else, like land from Ancestry Lands as well, which he did. My younger nephew, Kevin, he's like 20 something years, like 21, 22. The boy owns an acre property out in New Mexico. He had enough sense to get land. Women don't want to marry down to form a long-term relationship with a man who has less education and earnings than herself. Ronald Levant, the professor of emeritus of psychology at the University of Akron, and author of several books on masculinity. So now we got another thing men have to deal with. First of all, thank you, Sierra, and all the other people out there that talk about I'm a level up, level up, level up. This is so again, when you start looking at it again, how in the hell are these young men going to have a chance when they got the whole deck stacked against them? The daddies are telling them, boy, get out there and do it on your own. They have no economic resource or benefit from their dads. The dads are not helping them financially get started. And again, if you're a dad who's done it, then I am not talking to you. But in most cases, boys got to go out there and start on their own. They got to build on their own. They're expected to do it on their own. There's no help. A business has a team, but a man is always got to be put out there as a lone wolf. You're told to be stoic. Don't have any dang on emotions. Don't cry. Hold your hand up. Stand up and pee. If your legs are tired, still stand up. Don't sit down. Be a man. Be a man. Don't feel anything. Don't do anything. Don't have any emotions. You're told all of that stuff. Then you go out there and look at it, and a woman who has a bachelor's degree now turns to you and says, not good enough. I'm going to go find Leo. I want me an Idris or Thugnificent or a Brad Pitt. They're going for them. And they don't see, but so is a lot of other women going for them. No one's choosing regular old Joe. Joe Blow. Not the Joe Blow, but a Joe Blow. An average man who goes to work a 9 to 5. And these men are lonely. They're sexually dormant. And where the passport bros should be, hey, listen, yahoo.com/lifestyle/ most dash young dash men dash single dash most. Just Google it in there. Passport bros. This right here is what you should refer to anytime you get pushback on leaving the country to find a suitable partner for you at life. The only thing I'm going to clap back at the passport bros, if you're going out there just to empty out your tank, you're not helping out the younger men that are coming up behind you. You need to show them how to go out there and find women of quality to build relations with, because most men do actually want to get married. Most men are saying in the States, marriage are dead, that have gone through a marriage and divorce. Great job, great perspective, but you already had one. The newer, younger men, they want the chance to walk through life and experience whether it's going to be a mistake or not. Simply telling them not to go to the door and open it is not going to do anything to help them. If you have a child and you tell them not to do something, you will find nowadays more than likely the child will end up doing it anyway. That's when they're young or old. It's not going to change. So how do you help them? You show them the way. You show them what works and what doesn't. Not YouTube videos talking about how easy they are, but you need to show them the meaning of men having quality relationships, connections with women. That's what these young men need, connection with women. Anybody could empty out a tank. Young men need connection with women. Past bros, that is your responsibility. So they can go back, be married, have children, procreate, and hopefully not get divorced and have a woman that wants to take a paycheck from them, and then create the next generation of 20-something-year-olds that do not know how to talk or communicate with women, that are still 4 times, or maybe even then it'll be 8 times more likely to take themselves off the playing board of life. Everybody wants to talk about a Second Amendment issue. No, it is not a Second Amendment issue. It is these young men are being left up behind and left to be alone. And men need to be the stewards of showing them the way. We need good, I don't care if you're a Pookie, Ray Ray, if you're a CJ, my cousin, we need to stand up and lead these men out of the country to find partners, because there's statistically not enough women for every man to have. There's a 2-to-1 ratio. There are 2-to-1, 2 men for every 1 woman, and it's not going to work because she wants a man that's above her. That means that out of that 63% of single men, that means there are less in the 63% of people that those women want to date. Out of the 34 that are left behind, they're looking for the top, 20% out of the 63% to date. Everybody wants a Chad with a 6-pack abs. I don't have, I can see a little bit of my abs and stuff like that, or a Idris Elba. Everybody wants a you know what I mean? An Asian super looking good man, or a Latin, an Enrique that looks, excuse me, like he could just, make your heart throb. And underwear precipitate for a woman. Precipitate. Everybody wants that guy. But most men walking around don't look like that. And these women want to marry up. older men who are more economically, financially stable. Even if I was divorced now, I still would be more economically and financially stable than I was in my 20s alone. And previous generations, continuing on. I thank you all for watching this. The podcast is growing, people are watching it. Passport Bros, I believe that the messaging needs to be changed towards this. This actually gives you all statistics, a fact and a number to talk about on why men should there. Here is the smoking gun for you all. You're welcome. I hope that means I get more subscribers, people commenting about this, because again, you can have all the arguing points, you can have all of that, but it is not solving problems. And I am giving you all a solution based on stats and statistics, but it is the responsibility of the men who are out there on Passport Bros to make sure that you are teaching the younger man how to do it right with qualified outcomes. I'm going to say it again, qualified outcomes. Do we want to see men win? If we want to see them win, what does winning look like? It's a woman that they connect with. They have a relationship. They're happy with. They're engaged. Not engaged, but engaged is a form of connecting. They're in love. They're sexually aroused by the woman. They're faithful and committed to a woman that is committed and faithful to them. What the hell is wrong with this? What I'm saying? Continuing on. In previous generations, young women entered adulthood in a society that expected them to find a financially stable man who would support them through decades of marriage and motherhood. Over in the 1950s and 60s, that pattern gradually broke down, and today it's all but gone. Women are tiring their stereotypical roles. Okay, as a full-time therapist or therapist for emotionally distant men. Emotionally distant men, they're tired of being a therapist for emotionally distant men. Where are the moms teaching them how to be emotionally close? You can't expect men to be protectors and providers and provide emotional content for young boys. How can we do that? That's the woman's job, to help a man understand emotional connection with a woman. I don't know half the times what my wife's thinking. That's why I have to ask her. She expects me to know. But I tell her all the time, baby, look, you got to tell me sometimes. And I love it when she can anticipate what I need, because I'm pretty much just as L7 or predictable as the sun's going to come up every day. I went for a long walk before I started this podcast. I think I went on a few miles, did about like 10,000 steps earlier. When I came home, my wife of my 5-month old, she had these chicken nuggets, the frozen ones. It's called Bear from Costco. I'm not promoting this stuff, but if you ever go to Costco, look for these chicken nuggets called BARE. They are phenomenal. Oh my goodness. I'm not even going to plug them right now. So, you know what, Bear, I'll see you the invoice later for plugging y'all, but they're delicious. She had a salad and parfait yogurt for me. Do you know why she did it? Was it because she's subjugated? No. Is it because she's oppressed? No. It's because I'm doing my job of providing as a father, protecting, but I'm also connecting with my wife. Does it work every time? No. Does every day going to be an explosive day, climactic, final finish? No. But we talk, have conversations, we communicate. I take time to listen to her talk. I'm interested in what's going on. There is an emotional connectivity, and I didn't lose my damn manhood because I'm connecting with my wife. That's what you're supposed to do. Part of the problem is we can't keep asking for change and then not accept when we get the change we ask for. And we have a responsibility with the authority that comes with it. Excuse me, Passport Bros, you have an authority with the responsibility that comes from leading the way for these young men that have sexual dormancy. And again, you all are making a case on black women. You need to make a case on these statistics right here I'm giving you. When will anyone talk about this? And they're tired of being full-time therapists for emotionally distant men. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to be a mama to men that are walking out because their mama should have did it. They want a partner who is emotionally open and empathetic. Masculine is not being closed off. When I have men around me that are going through things, I tell them first they can always come and talk to me. You know what most men have is too much pride to say, "Hey, brother, I need a shoulder to cry on." That's the problem with men. We get in our own damn way of even when other men should support us. It's not emotionally weak to have a man or your homeboy that's going through stuff. Pick up the phone and call your friends, your brothers, or the people that are there for you. Dads, get off your ass and think you did a good job and realize your sons are still your son. They're still your sons. They go through stuff. One thing I love is that I can call my father. We can talk. He will talk about what's going on in his day because I never want to make the conversation solely about me. And he will take time to listen to what I say. And he will give me guidance as his understanding and experience is from manhood to understand what I'm going through now as a father of three with two sons and a daughter. He will give me some counseling, some mentorship to understand that the things I stress about and think that I want to blame my wife on are simply things that I'm going through in the evolution of my manhood. There are things that I'm going through in the journey of being a man who's a father, who's raising kids, that is normal to the position I'm in. And how can I do things better and talk to my wife to be able to have consistent emotional connectivity to the woman that I say I love? And it is the wife's job to do the same thing in a different way for the man. There are times where I need tender love and care in the form of physical bondedness. And thank you to my wife for making sure that's something that happened earlier today. Appreciate it. It's great. Love my wife. She gets on my nerves sometimes, but I love her. She get on her nerves all the time. My kids get on my nerves sometimes. They get on each other's nerves. This is people. Today in America, women expect more from men, and they should. And unfortunately, so many men don't have more to give. That's not the men's fault. The same emotional defects that hurt men in the dating pool also hamper them in forming meaningful relationships. You can't just send men out there, passport bros, go down to Colombia, go down to Brazil. You have parent moms. You got to be teaching your sons emotional connectivity, conversing with your sons, listening to them. Not hurry up and get off the phone. Okay, cool. That's it. Sit down and talk with your kids. I guarantee you, if you let my daughter all the time, man. Whew, boy, the second I let her go, she would talk my damn ear off, man. She'll go and go and go. And sometimes I'm doing stuff and I want to like cut her off. And I always remember, let her talk. She just wants to talk to dad. And when you start doing that and not being available for your kids, they grow up to just be conditioned and not talking to you. Same with your sons. How you doing, son? How's your day going? What happened? What did you feel about this? You start when they're young and you grow older, constantly keeping the door open for communication. So when something happens that bothers them, they have you at their back. Parents, your job is not to raise a kid till 18. Your job is to raise your child that becomes a man, but it's still your child until you die. That's a parent's job, not a pay rent job. It's not a paycheck. The job of you being a parent is to see them off. You're their resource for life. You can't see your son going through a divorce or about to be divorced, and you don't sit there and call them and say, "Hey, baby, I'm just checking on you. Mama needs to talk. You want to go out to dinner? Maybe we can meet out to dinner and we could just talk. Maybe we can go to wherever, arrange or do something. Can I be a resource to you?" Dads, pick up the phone and call your son before they become a 4 times likely statistic. And then you don't have a son to talk to. Or maybe you just don't give a damn. Maybe you don't. Maybe you say you care, but you don't. What about the parents who've lost their sons to this? And what about the girls going out there and they're being egged on, talking about they're going after the top 20% of men, as this says, that are older that have no want or need to be in a relationship long term with them? Leo, how do you think the parents feel of those young girls that are sitting out there being dropped off at every single time, knowing they're dating with them? The money's fine, but what you did is said there's a price. You are a price tag. And again, I'm saying these are solutions on how to fix things. I'm not a passport bro, But I don't see a problem with that when the statistics say, now again, if this said that there are 80% of single women and there are young men and people are still leaving America to try to find something good, there is not statistically enough supply of younger single women out there for the supply of young single men. There's not enough supply. Where are the passport bros with this knowledge? Take this and use it. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands on YouTube has given y'all all the ammunition for every Passport Bro channel right now to talk about why the statistics are saying the statistics are saying that there are not enough available young women out there to date, court, and even potentially marry. And if they do, these women are more choosy, wanting upper echelon of men who are more financially viable. And they tend to pick men outside their age range. And the problem with the women have with the men from the women's side, I'm standing up for the women on this one, is that they have emotionally unavailable men because we have stoicism. Ain't no baby, how you doing? Baby, let's watch a movie. Baby, let's get together and watch a show. Baby, let's go out for lunch and date and talk. Everybody says, oh, we go on dates, this and this. Okay, but again, these emotional men are being taught to lead with their D and go out there and have a relationship instead of talking to their wife about, hey, you're not fulfilling a need for me. I need a connectivity. There are times where women become emotionally unavailable and you have to talk to them about it. Not in an argument, but say, hey, I'm trying to stay bonded to you, baby. I like you. I want you. And that's what I want. Some more of that good that used to give me back in the day. 15% of men reported having no close friendships, a five-fold increase from 1990. Men are less naturally relational than women. Mothers, know this about your sons. This is from Richard Reeves, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute whose news books, Boys and Men, has drawn wide praise. Reeves pointed to a recent Saturday Night Live sketch, I've never watched that, about the reimagined neighborhood of Dog Park as a man park. And that's the problem. These are people's sons that y'all are poking fun of. At the reliance of men on women to do emotional lifting for them. No, what they need is an emotional avenue and gateway, and they need men to mentor them and women, mothers, to admit the mothers to be emotionally open. Again, women, I'm going to give you a dating solution right now. What you need to do when you have a man and you want to get married to him, fathers of daughters who are involved, fathers that the daughters, they still have some connection with the daughters in life. They should ask their daughters or potential daughters, mothers who have daughters. Ask your daughters when you meet the other parents and your children are talking about discussing marriage. The daughter should go to the mother of the man they're going to marry and ask the mother, have you emotionally raised your child? Have you raised your son to be emotionally available and be emotionally connecting? What is your relationship with your son like? Good, how? Do you all talk? How long do you talk when you're on the phone? What do you all discuss? When he's having problems, have you been emotionally there for him? When he's going through things, what does he normally do when he's down and out? So I can learn from you if you've done it or not. If your mother has done it, she will be able to tell you those things about her relationship with her son. This is for the ladies. This is for the ladies who have daughters that are going to marry daughters who are going to marry daughters away to sons that or son-in-laws that eventually will leave them to be single mothers. And again, if you care so much about your sons or your daughters, you would tell them to ask that question. Ask the question of the mother. Grill her about her relationship with her son, because that's the first relationship he's had with a woman. And if that relationship's not looking so well, guess what, homegirl? You might want to rethink your options, and your mother should be conferring that with you, no matter how high value that man is. Because again, only thing you're going to end up with is a divorce with children raising your own. And again, you're going to get the paycheck. And then you're out here, you got to be out here dealing with the rest of the younger men that have grown up to be older men that have only been more practiced and trained and being emotionally more unavailable. So your options suck for you being a divorcee. This might be why you see stars who have millions of dollars going to OnlyFans nowadays because they can't find a man. Even Drew Barrymore cried about this on TV about having a low quality dating pool. And I'm not trying to insult her at all, but I may be giving some validation to what I'm talking about when you get divorced later on in life and your dating pool is from men who are constantly being ignored. And who's asking the daughter should be sitting down and talking with the mother-in-law, future mother-in-law, because again, that same woman is going to be talking to your son about when you have problems with you. She's going to be giving him advice based upon the lack of their relationship because she raised a son that, again, she now takes a paycheck from the ex-husband, the father of that son, and now she has a problem with you doing it to her son, creating a whole hypocrisy at its best. You, as a daughter, as a wife, should be asking that mother in law a question before she's your mother in law. What relationship does he have with his mother? We're not talking about baby hugs and kisses. We're talking about what emotional relationship do they share? And the first question would be, what do you say to him and talk with him when he's down, when he's taking on the world, or when he's feeling emotionally low? How have you been supportive to him so you can learn what works or doesn't work? And you can evaluate whether this woman has either built or grown or cultivated a man that is worthy of you being married and taking on a last name or opening up your wound to, even if he is a more resourceful man. But again, he should be qualifying for you. You're going to have a children, and for those time when you do have the baby, that's 6 weeks even afterwards, you're not going to be able to just go right back out there and work. Even if you do have a career, you're going to be looking to him for financial stability, emotional understanding, because most men do not know that you cannot go ahead and still be physical with him while you're still having that baby because you're now breastfeeding. Maybe he needs to understand that, but he's got to be emotionally mature enough to be able to understand that is a priority for you as a mother who are bearing his child. What is his emotional maturity? And that is going to come from his mother, not his father. And that's the conversation you need to have to weed that man in or out of your life. And that, if that were happening more and more throughout the day, you would have more mothers starting to second think about how they leave their sons out to the world. That's right. I'm saying it. You'd have more mothers out there or women who are end up going to be married. Those women who are out there asking those questions, they are going to make damn sure that they fix that problem. And they don't, if they're asking about it, they plan on training for it with their sons, which means that the future people who are now my children who are 8 and 6, they're going to grow up and be 20s, and they're going to be around places where it's expected for you to have some emotional maturity. And moms are all asking, did you, and now the moms will talk with each other. The mother-in-laws will talk with each other on how they have raised their sons and or daughters to be checking for these things. That's how you change a society, folks. Women, you shouldn't have any problem with this because, again, it affects your daughters too. But the problem is, will you do it? With you getting equality, will you take on the authority or that the authority and take on the responsibility that comes with the authority too? Because again, it saves the reason why you have a headache is because a woman before you didn't do it. So we're going to keep kicking the can down the road, or are we going to actually start making some change here? That's what I want to know. Right? That's really what I want to know. Are you really trying to make the change that you say you want, or are we continuing on passing the buck? We're going to close out here on this one. Women form friendships with each other that are emotionally intimate, whereas men do not. They don't. Young women may not be dating, but they have girlfriends they spend time with and gain emotional support from. Friendship and Aaron Carroll and Matt Ryder, both in their early 40s, studied the male friendship recession and their Man of the Year podcast. I don't know who they are, never listened to that one. And it's not a slight to them. It arose out of an annual tradition of gathering at a steakhouse with several male friends, all close since elementary school. The guys are taught to prioritize career, Carol said, and also romantic relationship, although it doesn't seem like they're doing a good job at that. Making friends and keeping friends still seem to be the lower priority. And once guys get older, they realize suddenly they have no friends. Suddenly realize they have no friends. And part of their solution for the young men is they created an annual gathering as a way to keep their friendship alive. So, folks, I want to ask you again, with all that what we're saying, still, who's going to take up the responsibility and mantle to start making change here, folks? Is it a paycheck, or you really, really want change? That's what I'm asking, folks. Really, that's what I'm asking right now. And Passport Bros, this does show that you have the stats to validate a lot of your points. But I think that the message needs to change. I think it needs to be about this. Not about what women ain't, but about the fact that there are not statistically enough available young single women out there, and you're almost double 2-to-1. How in the hell are you supposed to find a valuable mate when the women want higher tier men and when they don't want to date down, and there's only one for every two of you? That gives you a valid argument of why you need to go out without it being race specific and race disloyalty and all the other isms they're going to put out there. I don't think we're going to be able to get to our historical figure today. We'll save that for another day. Closing arguments, folks. The Second Amendment is something that we're supporting. So the Chicago incident all-city officer that was allegedly attacked and ended up having to defend herself with deadly force. We saw that our president still has the number one threat to our president and his presidency is actually stairs. As far as him injuring himself, I don't understand why non-slip shoes are not mandated at this point. You should not be wearing, stop wearing slippery slip shoes. Forget the red bottoms, Joe. Go for non-slip shoes. Skechers has some. Anywhere that works, the White House kitchen has members who probably wear non-slip shoes. You need to get some, especially for them stairs. And it's nighttime. Nobody's gonna know what you're wearing. This is me trying to help the president out here, folks. Because he's falling going upstairs more than once. You know what I mean? Stop wearing them shiny shoes, Joe. The reflection from the shoes at the daytime from the sun might be blinding you when you're going up the stairs. That's why you're tripping. Up the stairs, no less. Most people fall going down the stairs. I don't understand how the hell he's falling going up the stairs. And stop jogging, Joe. Joe, take the slope. Do those stairs have carpet on them? They should. And maybe he's trying to hop up there doing like some track workout or something like that. I don't know. Somebody needs to talk to him. Can we get a congressional meeting on non-skin shoes worn by presidents when they're going up Air Force One? Because the stairs, what does they call it? Truck-coon and anime, but stair-coon is actually trying to take out the president here, and I don't understand why. And the other part of it is that we covered is the Dragon Ball or Godzilla's egg that may be in Japan. We need to watch out for that. Lord knows helps you. Or the UFO ball or whatever they think it is out there. Look it up, folks. It's there. And the Pretendians, right? That's what we covered today. Pretendians. Now the number of Native American people claiming to be Native Americans is on the rise, to jump up 80%, 86% in the last 10 years. Native tribes should be on notice. There are people trying to infiltrate and get some of that Native American identity. I saw another article saying that this is an increase of whites actually identified as Native American. It is not black people trying to be. I swear, I talked about some CJ. Because CJ in a live 2 days ago, right? First, it was black people saying that they got Indians on their grandmama's mama's side. Because, they got the good hair, right? Light-skinned people stand up. And now you have whites, and I kept telling them this, whatever happens with blacks, whites will follow suit. And you got white people trying to identify with being Native American. Let's be born. I don't even get it. 1/60. I think she had 1/1000th of Native American. She had to apologize to Cherokee Nation. And what I'm saying is that they have to protect their identity because they have what they call pretendians. Pretendians. People people pretending, trying to fake the jacks, trying to jack the culture. I mean, this is ridiculous. Have the Indians not suffered enough? Native American people have suffered so much in the history of this country, and still they are trying to take down their identity. First, Rachel Dolezal tried with blacks, and now we have people trying to do it with Indians. What will they do next? Pretendians? People trying to pretend to be Asian? Pretendians. Right? Whitenese. Maybe that's what will come next. Who knows? What will they think of next, right? And then lastly, we talked about, modern women want a paycheck or a man. And it doesn't mean that the man they're married to or a man that they don't, but we saw that the statistics show, passport bros, this is your smoking gun here. This is all you need to be able to talk now. You should just cite this article right here that I pulled up. This is the only thing you should point to, is the fact that there are a lack of available young adults out there in the dating pool. And when they are, again, they don't want to marry down. The average income in America, man or woman, is like under $50,000. They're looking for six-figure earners. I was going to say the M word. White or black, it don't matter. So passport bros have a righteous cause, because there's not availability. You can't tell those men to wait. Women are out here trying to get their bag and level up, but again, they don't want a guy on their level or even below. They want someone that can make higher than them. That's not the same problem men have. Men don't have that problem. But again, if women want equality, you need to have the responsibility for the authority that you seek. You can't be a leader and then abdicate authority. You got to take all the pushes. No pun intended on that. And what I mean that is that make the choice to actually teach your sons emotional connectivity. Talk to your sons, women. Don't treat them like they're your ex-husband or your ex-baby daddy. They're your sons. They're going to go out in the world and meet other women who are going to probably do to them what you've done to the ex-husband or baby daddy. And again, do you care about them when that's happening? To the dads out there that actually do talk to their sons, can your son call and talk to you and just rap? Or is you too man enough to listen to what your son's going through? And give them man journey advice on their journey to manhood, and tell them how to deal with things that are common to what they're going through. And passport bros, you all now have the smoking gun on how to go out there and bring light to the cause that you're going through. A married man gave you this info. Clip, cut, paste it, share it. I don't care. Yo, take this. I'm not gonna copyright anybody. Take it and bring it out to the stratosphere, folks. Go ahead and take it. Take my talking point too. But make sure you give me some daggone credit, folks. I don't want to hear about none of you saying this stuff like y'all came up with it. But you better say Bill Davis, Ancestrylands, the one that brought this to light. Because I don't think anybody's talking about it. They talk about women this, women that, they don't submit, blah, 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 blah. It ain't about that. They ain't even enough of them. Here's the stats right here. And no one even, I guarantee you, most men in this YouTube streets didn't even bother to read this kind of article. And I'm bringing it to you. That's what Ancestrylands does, folks. And on top of that, we talk ownership. We're trying to create legacy through ownership. Look at this, man. This is a mess. And again, women, these are your sons going out to the world. These young 20-year-olds. The ones you put on Facebook about getting a degree, being accepted into college, my baby during graduation. Well, guess what? Their marriage to relationships, this is where they're suffering behind those smiles. 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not the fear. 4 times more likely to pick themselves out. Your sons. And then your daughters, for the ones that don't have sons or do have sons and daughters, your daughters are going to go out there and intermingle with these emotionally unavailable men that they got a mommy to, because you didn't mommy and you're still not mommy. When I say that, I mean is that you're providing a mature, feminine, emotional support system for your son. Can you tell that young woman when your son's down, what does he do? When he's feeling this, baby, this is what I do. when he's feeling down in this, when he lost his job, when he got fired from his job when he was 18 or 19 or 20 or 21, or when he didn't get that job that he wanted or whatever else, here's a story of what we did to help him with that. But instead of just kicking your sons out and you're 18, go out there and do it. And not only that, when you kick them out, you leave them out. You're not even there for them emotionally, but you expect them to be successful in life. What you're doing is setting them up for failure, not success. And parents, they're not a child, but they are your child. Your job is not done until you draw your last breath. It doesn't mean that your child does not have responsibility as being an adult, but again, you always should be their backup. They want to talk about the olden days and elders, but elders still taught the young people new techniques or old techniques on how to hunt, how to provide, how to be provisions. Knowledge was passed down. And the elder wasn't done when the young people came in there. The people who were becoming older joined the ranks of elders. And they still adhered to the elders. But they still were all allowed to contribute to what elders were. And maybe that's why young people don't respect elders anymore. Because what you did was you pushed them out there and you left them alone. And what they need is support. Men still need support. We cry in the dark. We have feelings. And stop pushing that stoicism BS, man. You're trying to stoicism, man. That's cool, man. You think Andrew Tate, you mean to tell me you don't think he's one day scared in jail? One day. Y'all still think that's all that is? Be tough or whatever else. My father or my coaches tell me this stuff. For as tough as you are, there's somebody out there that's tougher than you. There's always a bigger and badder person. You shouldn't aim to be a tough guy. You should just aim to be a solid guy, a steady guy. It's not a stoic guy. This is all talking points. I've never seen anyone tell me how to be stoic. It's just BS, man. And young men they're not benefiting from stoicism because they can't even tell you when they feel lonely, sexually dormant, sexually frustrated. They can't tell you anything. You know what they do? They go and grab something and they go take out a lot of people. That's the state result. Stoicism. But you keep pushing. How does a 20-year-old understand stoicism coming from a 40 or 60-year-old? What they need to do is have emotional availability and the ability to have outlets for their emotional frustration, let alone sexual frustration too. Folks, I hope you've been educated, entertained, and enlightened. As always, I've had so much fun on this stream. I hope that you all are watching. Like, share, subscribe, folks. $Ancestrylands. Ancestrylands on Venmo. You can donate to the show. We're building a podcast, folks. One episode at a time. Passport Bros, I'm adding you in this to give you all the full-on ammunition. You're welcome. All I need is just to make sure my name is mentioned as credit. But go on and run with it, man. You got the stats to show that you're right. Men do need to leave the country in search of relationships and connectivity. But again, if you're going out there, again, don't take my message and pervert it. Take my message and make it gospel. You go out there to find connections. Women that will work with you and build a stable relationship that you have the responsibility to take care of and provide and protect. But if you're going out there just slanging the D, that's not what's going to help these young men. If you care. Or you're just there to make a buck. And again, I'm not coming at you. I'm just saying that you got to be careful because young men are going to listen to what you do more than what you say. Ancestrylands.com, folks. Go buy some property. We got YouTube videos of all our properties, even in Spanish for our Spanish clients, folks. We're here to serve, provide ownership, from owning land, building assets. Phil Davis, folks. I am your host.